that shelter and staying there until these storms pass through. Tornado watch in effect. A particularly dangerous situation continues across all of eastern Iowa. This is in effect until 9 o'clock. I think it's a good time that that watch is in effect for. After 9 o'clock, those storms will be in areas of Illinois and Wisconsin and will no longer threaten eastern Iowa. But that threat is from now until then with us, and it is damaging winds, tornadoes, as well as very large hail, as we've been sharing through the day. Winds in some of these storms to 60, certainly. We've seen that. We could see some up to 90, and that tornadic threat is very real as well, with several and some intense tornadoes that have already happened that could continue to move across portions of eastern Iowa. New tornado warning has just been issued, and this is again in effect now for farther areas of northern areas of Marshall County. That's for that same cell that we had earlier. So we now have one for southern areas of Marshall County, extending out of Newton. And so southern, northern Marshall County, Marshalltown kind of in between, those tornado warnings in effect, as we can see, until about 5:30. Additionally, now the northern line of the storms we can see from southern Minnesota, just off to the west of New Hampton right now. Floyd Mitchell County right now under a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds and some 3/4-inch hail. And again, the entire line is being warned. Let's go ahead and take a wide view right now for you. And you can see that certainly is the case as we watch that line continue to move to the east-northeast right around 55 to 60 miles per hour. Numerous tornado warnings stretch from just off to the east of Lamoni, just east of the city of Des Moines, east of Ames, and continue off to the north. If it's not a tornado warning, it is a severe thunderstorm warning that situation is in. And right now, again, on the air as these cells move into portions of eastern Iowa, particularly for the tornado warnings that are in effect, just into areas of southern Grundy County in the TV9 viewing area, as well as just into areas of Marshall County right now. So just entering our western fringe, some of these storms that certainly have been producing tornadoes, now moving in as well, have been producing damage. And we'll continue to watch this. So that cell that you see that's moving through southern areas of Marshall County would eventually enter Tama County. That'd be one of the first that we'll continue to watch. Farther south for you, there are some cells moving through between North English and Sigourney and Keokuk County right now. Again, not strong to severe. It's west of Oskaloosa, west of Ottumwa right now that we continue to see areas of thunderstorm warnings that are with us and that will continue to be with us as we can watch these storms move off toward the east-northeast as they have been and continue to do so. So far, continuing to watch and have not heard any damage reports in eastern Iowa, but they are just beginning to enter our viewing area, and I hope to not report any, but I have a feeling that we will be seeing some as these storms move in.
Let's go ahead and look at Max 2 again. We're going to pull up the Cedar Falls City Cam temporarily. Excuse the screen flashing there on you. The camera there looking off to the west, still a decent distance from that storm that is approaching from the southwest, but gray skies for sure. A little bit of the wind certainly blowing from the south, providing some of those stronger gusts we've seen this afternoon. That has been a big contributing factor into our atmosphere destabilizing once again, thanks to the southerly wind moving in. We'll take one look at radar as well to track to see where we stand in terms of this tornado that's just about to enter northwest Marshall County. Looks like a recent update from the National Weather Service as that storm tracks to the northeast. We'll put the velocity view back on here. And you can see still that bright color of rotation just northwest of Colo. Starting to look a little bit less well-defined in terms of how it has looked. We're going to flip to a different view here. Yeah, there it is. A couple of different areas of rotation perhaps within that same area. So it's this area that we're watching, and that's what the National Weather Service has been watching closely too. But it's not as tight, not as well-defined as it was. So that would be a great sign. If we could weaken some of this rotation, we've certainly seen these storms kind of moving into one another, merging, and kind of interrupting each other at times, which can happen, and eventually that does get sorted out by the atmosphere. But at this point, that area of rotation has at least shown some signs of diminishing. Doesn't mean let your guard down. See, there's the newest scan there. Really hard to find at this point, mostly red. We'll switch to the other velocity view just to make sure we're not missing something. Strong winds for sure. It does look like you'll see some very strong winds moving through all of Marshall County where a severe thunderstorm warning continues. But in terms of this tornado warning, maybe a good trend. Of course, the warning continues, for the next 22 minutes, I believe.
Yep, till 5:30. Although the 2 tornado warnings that are in Marshall County right now both go until 5:30. I understand we have a picture of some tornado damage. This is from Greenfield, Iowa, one of the spots that through social media I've seen some pictures that have been out there, and boy, it has shown. Boy, look at that. Just unbelievable. Greenfield apparently very, very hard hit with tornadic damage just from the reports we're seeing in that picture that we're pulling up right there. One thing you can see, those trees stripped and topped in the distance. You notice the building completely destroyed. That likely a home. It looks like a basement with a car probably, or a couple of cars that were once in a garage. Thinking of those folks over in Greenfield as that storm moved through. But again, it just shows you the power that we're dealing with these storms as they continue to push off toward the east. That's the type of activity that we'll see moving to eastern Iowa, and that's what we have to be prepared for and be prepared to get to a safe place if that moves through. That again, a photo from Greenfield, so tornado damage, numerous areas. We're watching as well in portions of western Iowa right now. Also some reports of some turbines, those big, huge turbines spinning as well that were shredded with some storms that moved through. News team certainly working on that. So again, storms themselves in eastern Iowa. As we head back to radar, you do see the tornado warning in southern areas of Marshall County, also northern areas of Marshall County, so it's kind of bordering Marshalltown, kind of in between. That's where we're watching that potential for tornadic formations. Well, some large hail that could also be present in some of these storms. The one down to the south right now might be showing a little bit more near the Newton area, some strong winds and that potential for some large hail as well as it continues to move through. And this line just lines up north to south. It is now just about fully crossed Interstate 35 as it moves off to the east. And as we take a look at Pinpoint Futurecast, one of the models that we watch here, you can see that those storms just continue to evolve and move, and they will hold their strength as they move off to the east as well. We notice by about 6 o'clock, those storms probably nearing the Cedar Rapids area, and then probably 7, 8 o'clock or so, we're going to see those storms continue to push farther off to the east and move out of the area. But just a reminder, we do have that tornado watch in effect for the entire TV9 viewing area, and that will be in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. Some of the western counties now taken out, which is good as we see those storms move through, and that's what we'll see as it progresses across eastern Iowa as well.
I've been told that we have another picture to display of some semis that got overturned. That looks like a view from, there we go. That looks like a rest area, but the semis that were parked there, unfortunately, were overturned near Elkhart on the I-35 rest area located near there. This is the northbound side. So certainly demonstrative of the strong winds that we've got moving with some of these storms, even outside the tornadic threat, which we've emphasized the whole time.
That the storm, yeah, they would have absolutely some very, very strong winds just based on their movement alone, and the day itself had winds that were about 40 miles per hour. I think it says the rest area near Interstate 35.
Yep, mile marker 98, so Elkhart for those familiar with that area.
Thank you for zooming in for the one that has the worst eyes, so I can see that now. That's very good. But you can see, again, a couple of trucks pushed over it. I'm sure that won't be the only that we'll see from that as those strong winds continue to push across eastern Iowa.
If we take a look at Max 2, I can show you a couple things with that tornado warning that includes portions of southern Marshall County. And so that does include communities such as Gilman, Ferguson, Haverhill, Laurel in southern Marshall County. It does include Newton and Jasper County, if you know folks out that way too. This storm has become kind of a sort of curve in the line. There's generally a line of storms here, and I'll go to normal radar view for just a second. You can see that bright color near Newton, likely a little bit of heavy rain at the very least, large hail certainly possible near the storm. We'll go back to velocity view and show you the details of this storm. The rotation area that they're concerned about, located right here. That's where the meetings of the red and the green are, and at the upper levels there's a little more rotation evident, and it's shown some signs perhaps of strengthening a little bit as it passes to the north. This area that extends outside of the rotation, here right along where that bright red color is, that's where winds are really starting to accelerate outward on the southern end of this storm. So strong winds will start to pick up there too. This part of the storm would track more toward Grinnell and areas like that. Not currently under warnings, but certainly under the gun as these storms aren't that far away with that 65-mile-an-hour motion.
And one other thing we take a look at to see just how the energy in the storms is staying energetic or not is by taking a look at lightning. And indeed, as we take a look, there is frequent lightning across this entire line and no sign right now of that lightning going out of the storms at all. Sometimes if you see that lightning start to decrease, the energy in the storms are not as strong. And indeed, we're not seeing that right now and really not expected to as we head through the next several hours as these storms continue to move through. There are the storm reports. We'll just put them all on there for you right now. The past 6 hours as the storm has progressed from west to east. You see numerous funnel cloud and tornado reports across portions of western Iowa as those storms were moving through. Let's go ahead and just take some of these off right now so you can kind of take a look at that. We'll take some of the areas that had very, very strong or heavy rains, some of the flooding areas out there, and we'll just kind of show you. Those are the tornado reports that we have so far that have come into the system again. And we're going to be joined now on KOEL. Did want to thank our radio partners for being there for us as well. Continuous coverage right now on KHAK, KDAT, as well as KRAN and KRNA, as well as KOEL. They have been going since 5 o'clock with us, so we thank you for your support for that. Another way for you to receive that severe weather information. There's your hail reports. We did have a little hail in southern Grant County, some down toward Iowa County, as well as an isolated cell moved through. That cell now has moved into areas of Wisconsin. And as we continue, we do find, again, the wind. We'll put the wind on, and you notice numerous wind gusts as well, not only related with the tornadic formation, but numerous wind gusts as well with those storm reports that we've been seeing again. And that's in the past 6 hours as those storms have been pushing across eastern Iowa.
I understand again. We have another piece of media from Adams County, I believe. Oh.
Is that where that's from? So we talked about wind turbines going down, and that's just unbelievable. Those wind turbines have and are able to withstand a lot of wind. Likely tornadic formation that moved through that area, and this is in Adams County and western areas of Iowa. Took at least 2 of those wind turbines down. You know how tall they are, how strong those wind turbines are, and we're watching that as well. Some video from earlier, again, as those wind turbines were taken down, likely a tornado taking those down. Boy, that just indicates the power that that storm had as it moved through. I don't think I've ever seen a turbine go down in the wind before.
Yeah, I mean, they do their best to lock them down and try to, like you said, sustain that wind, but it's really difficult when the winds are this strong. Looks like we get a new warning, Joe?
Yeah, let's take a look at what this severe thunderstorm warning is. And as expected, it's going to continue to progress across the TV9 viewing area. This will take in Tama County, far northern areas of Poweshiek County, a portion of Marshall County as well, back toward Jasper County, severe thunderstorm warning, and we're looking at the winds. Corey mentioned it as well, that we do find it, again, ramping up a bit. Now 70-mile-an-hour winds out of the cell expected, and up to 1-inch hail. So this will include the city of Traer, Cloutier, just getting toward Belle Plaine as we enter Benton County. Tama, you're certainly included, Toledo as well, Grinnell, Ferguson as we head farther back off toward the west. We're looking at that cell that you see near the Newton area right now, moving off toward the east-northeast. Let's see what the current movement is on this. And we are again looking at movement at 60 miles per hour. So again, it's been 55 to 60 pretty consistently as these storms have been moving through. Let's go ahead and get the front edge of this storm, which is certainly going to have some powerful winds and that potential for some larger hail as well, and just kind of projected toward the Tama area right now. At about 5:39, Toledo, right around 5:41. Long Point at about 5:44. Chelsea, it arrives about 5:49. Salt Creek Wildlife Area, right around 5:51. And Elberon, that storm arrives at 5:53 as we take a look at the latest storm track. Expect very powerful winds and potentially some large hail, of course, frequent lightning, as we've been talking about. Continuing across the area with that, as well as the potential for some heavy rains. Movement at 60 miles an hour, certainly helping out some of the rain situation, but we'll continue to watch that as well and continue to see how it evolves. A couple other thunderstorm warnings just issued. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is a thunderstorm warning that now moves into areas of Butler as well as areas of Franklin. as well as now just into western areas of Black Hawk County. So that's for 60-mile-an-hour winds and hail that's getting up close to an inch in diameter, not quite severe yet, but enough that it could do some damage. That will include the city of Waverly. Does not include Waterloo quite yet, but will as that evolves and moves off to the east, and another thunderstorm warning issued farther back off toward the west. This will also include southern Tama County, northern areas of Poweshiek County. So we have 3 warnings currently in effect that are severe thunderstorm warnings recently issued. 1, northern areas of Poweshiek County, southern areas of Tama County. That's in effect until 6:15. In addition, until 6:15, portions of Marshall County, as well as far northern areas of Poweshiek County, Tama County, including the city of Tama. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds, and then recently issued as well a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect, including Waverly. That's in effect again until I believe 6:15 as well. Just off to the west of the city of Waterloo, we're looking at 60-mile-an-hour winds possible in those storms.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at where those winds are coming from. We'll start with the one for portions of the large portion of Tama County and southeastern Marshall County. Same storm has a tornado warning also with it, but it's the strong winds that have been moving through the Newton area recently. 71-mile-per-hour gust from the automated station there at the airport in Newton. So a little bit of ground truth there with that moving through. It's this area, again, that we pointed out just moments ago, moving through the Newton area that is going to produce some of the strongest gusts as it tracks to the northeast. So it will be headed for the Tama area here not very long from now. Certainly will want to be within safe shelter within Tama County and Poweshiek County as well, areas around Grinnell, still expecting those really, really strong winds. And it's still this area here in now far northern Jasper County, about to cross over, if it hasn't already. Remember, the storms are moving so quickly today that the radar scans are keeping up as good as they can, but sometimes things do move so fast they may actually be a bit ahead of where the radar scan is now. So I'm going to say this is about here now in terms of where the rotation is. So areas near Laurel, just south of the Haverhill area, Ferguson, in southeastern Marshall County. These are all very small communities, but they're all in line for this potential as the storm tracks northeast. That warning is still listed as radar indicated, but it is still evident on radar, and it's shown a little bit of signs of perhaps somewhat better organization as this storm kind of gets wrapped up right in the Laurel area. We'll widen out a little bit and show you the storms to the north, though, as Joe mentioned, some very strong winds up that way too. So we'll zoom out and then take a look here. Excuse me on that. This northern portion of the warning really does show that signature on radar of some pretty strong winds that will be moving into, including areas of Floyd County, as well as Butler County and Grundy County. That's all going to be seeing those winds of up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. Those bright colors you see here on the left side of your screen near Hampton, while several thousand feet off the ground now, this far away from the radar, still representative of that threat. And of course, this is all tracking to the northeast at about 65 miles per hour, and it'll be moving that way in the near future.
You can see the line of storms as we look back at Max 1. You'll see it just again east of Interstate 35, so west of Interstate 35 right now. Everything is clear and quiet. We do have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings up and down that line as it now just enters areas of Black Hawk County, moving through Tama County right now in the TV9 viewing area, across areas of Poweshiek and northern areas of Mahaska County as well. We'll go ahead and start in the north and kind of give you a little radar tour, but all of these have the potential to produce some very strong winds. They're moving at about 60 miles per hour, and we're looking at winds right now that are ramping up close to 70 miles per hour as a potential as these storms move out of Floyd, Mitchell County. That'd be through the Charles City area as well. As we head farther south, the warning that does include a Waverly itself, we do notice Butler, Franklin, Grundy, Hardin. That's a 6:15 warning for at least 60-mile-an-hour winds, and we'll continue to watch that to see if those storms could get a bit stronger and ramp up as well as far as the wind speeds themselves. And we get a little farther south, which includes much of Tama County, 70-mile-an-hour winds, hail up to an inch in diameter, and still embedded within that, as Corey was showing you earlier, near the Laurel area, that tornado warning that is in effect for portions of Marshall County. and Jasper County as we head farther down to the south. Grinnell right now, the potential is there for some strong winds up to 70 miles per hour, and a little bit farther toward the south. We also notice we have one other warning that's in effect. This is for Mahaska and portions of Poweshiek County, just north of Oskaloosa. That also for 60-mile-an-hour winds, but also the potential with that storm for some hail. It could be up to 1.5 inches in diameter, which gets into some of the large hail. This entire system continues to move off toward the east at about 60 miles per hour. That means it's projected to move through fairly rapidly as these storms continue to evolve and move. And I just want to put a storm track on the entire line right now at that 60 mile an hour, just to give you an indication of when it may be moving into your area. Cedar Rapids so far obviously has not seen anything. Dubuque, Iowa City still waiting. We're kind of at the front edge of where you'd start to see some of the severe weather that moves in. Puts it in Vinton right around 6 o'clock, close to 6:20 in the Cedar Rapids area, right around 6:30 in Iowa City. Dubuque 7:13. So again, times haven't changed a lot as this storm system has evolved and moved, but you see how rapidly it will move across eastern Iowa. But what we've seen, just with the two pictures alone, from Adams County and from Greenfield, this can do damage very, very quickly as these storms continue to push across the area.
I mean, get a little bit of a feel for the storms as they move through. This is near the Nevada area, according to production booth. We got a little video of that from a DOT camera. Again, I mean, just look at the intensity of the winds moving through there. That's on Highway 30 west of Marshalltown. That's over in Story County, but yeah, you can see even pieces of something blowing past the screen there at the very end. So just very indicative of the strong winds that we've seen. We've gotten some recent reports outside the TV9 viewing area of wind gusts in that 60 to 70 mile per hour range again. So just further confirmation that opportunity for additional strong winds is there.
And an additional warning has just been issued. This would be for Chickasaw, Howard County, and the TV9 viewing area. So again, we're in far northern Iowa, just off to the west of Winnebago County. It's for that same cells we've been watching move through the Mason City area right now, moving through New Hampton, heading out of the Charles City area as well. And that will be 70-mile-an-hour winds as well as 3/4 inch hail. Tornado possible. So there is some rotation. They're watching on that line to see if something could develop. But right now, severe thunderstorm warning, straight line winds up to 70 miles per hour possible with that system.
Just looking at some new information from the Storm Prediction Center, who issues our watches as well as our outlooks that we've been showing you over the past couple of days. There is one area I'm going to take me a second to isolate it. There's two things here circled. One was just sort of an update generally on that line. Another is an area that they wanted to highlight in terms of the potential for an increase perhaps in tornadic activity in the next couple of hours. It's this area that you see circled in red that includes Marshalltown, Waterloo, Cedar Falls, just northwest of the Cedar Rapids metro area, Decorah, Fayette, up toward Clayton and Alameda counties. Just an area that they're highlighting where the ingredients are particularly rich for the possibility of tornadic developments up near a warm front that's been moving north through the state all afternoon. We felt that change, and so that's an area that they're highlighting. Already under a tornado watch, so that's already in place, but just something that they have emphasized, useful information from the experts down in Norman, Oklahoma.
A little more advanced warning, and again, a reason to take these storms more seriously when those warnings are issued, as we've been talking about since the warnings began. Make sure you heed these warnings. Sometimes people don't want to heed the warnings. They wonder what's happening. From the damage we've seen so far that we've showed you, we have, again, confirmed reports of tornadoes and damage back off across western and central areas of Iowa. Greenfield apparently pretty hard hit, and now we're watching more storms move into eastern Iowa, continuing. Looks like a little development in northern Johnson County right now. That's ahead of the actual line that's moving through. Certainly could produce some severe weather as well. The atmosphere is primed and ready for more severe weather to push across eastern Iowa, as we've been talking about and giving you that first alert since late last week of the potential that Tuesday will be a day that we'll have to watch as these storms continue to push through. And again, they're just entering the TV9 viewing area right now, so we've got a ways to go yet before they push across all of eastern Iowa to see exactly what they'll do. Hopefully, Not a lot of damage, but that potential is certainly there, and that's why you need to take these storms very seriously.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying for a couple of days, giving you the first alert to that. We want the outcome where nothing happens.
Absolutely.
Yes, that would be the best possible outcome here if we miss out, but unfortunately we've seen that report from Central Iowa, like you said. Let's take a look at Max 2, just show you how things have changed over the past several hours. This is this morning. Storm energy was available. We saw those warnings at times this morning, but the overall magnitude of it was relatively low, and with that rain persisting for a while, well, it just kind of struggled for a little while. We've kept temperatures in the 60s, but then things did start to change after that. You can see how it builds in as we go through the afternoon. Those colors get very, very bright, and as that line of storms comes through, it's cutting things off, that is for sure, but out ahead of it is where there's plenty of energy to work with. That's why we've seen these storms maintain their intensity as they've passed to the east. Not expecting them to show any signs of diminishing, that's for sure. As we pulled the velocity view back up, actually, Joe, it looks like we do have a new tornado warning in effect now, too.
Looks like it's going to be just farther toward the south. Let's take a look. It is for portions of Mahaska as well as Wapello County. So again, just out of the TV9 viewing area, but getting into the Wapello County area, I would like to confirm that we are also simulcasting on our partner KYOU. If somebody can confirm that for me, that'd be great, because we are now seeing warnings in the KYOU areas there. Okay, when we can, just let me know when we're there. You can see that cell itself. It's just off to the west of Ottumwa. It's going to move near the Oskaloosa area, kind of between Oskaloosa and Ottumwa. Hail, 1 1/4 inch expected, and the potential certainly there for a tornado. Radar indicated tornado at this time. I'm assuming the movement is also the same on that cell, and again, that also moving off toward the northeast at about 60 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and pinpoint the front part of that cell just before it gets to the more intense, just to kind of give you a track of when some of that moves in. Cedar about 5:59, Delta about 6:12, and What Cheer, that storm would arrive at about 6:15. Again, at about 6:15. We welcome our KYOU viewers for our simulcast right now. Did want to let you know that we do have a tornado warning that's now in effect for portions of Wapello County. It also is in portions of Mahaska County. There's a storm that's moving far from the south near Highway 34 and Highway 5 interchange, heading toward the Albia area, heading off to the northeast at about 60 miles per hour. And that is where we are finding, once again, that possibility that we have a tornado radar indicated right now, or some large hail as that storm moves through. Definitely want to seek shelter if you are in those areas.
Possible new warning as well, it looks like. Another one probably expanded down the line. It's in that area where there's several warnings in effect already, but just kind of filling in the gaps there toward Blackhawk County.
Yep, it looks like that. So this would not include Buchanan County yet. But it does include southern Blackhawk County, extends across northern areas of Tama County, 60-mile-an-hour winds, large hail. That will be in effect until 6:30. Southern Grundy County included in that as well. So again, needless to say, if you're experiencing these storms anywhere along this line, you do want to be seeking safe shelter, because they are powerful in themselves, and that tornadic formation could form in a relatively short period of time. If you can let me know again, Ellen, I didn't get a chance to write it all down, where we have the video from, and let's take a look at that along I-80 you had mentioned. Okay, we'll get that, and we'll let you know when we have that as well for you. But you can see the latest severe thunderstorm warning does include Blackhawk County. That goes until 6:30 for some 60-mile-an-hour winds. Wide view shows you that this system moves through fairly quickly. Once again, you can see it extends from Minnesota back to Missouri. Numerous warnings, severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings along that area. As Corey mentioned, that tornadic threat, again, still very present, especially across north central, northeastern areas of Iowa as those storms continue to move off toward the east. They have crossed Interstate 35, so Interstate 35 and west right now. Quiet conditions, they're not going to worry. And once this line moves through, and it's likely through our area by about 8 o'clock or so, you'll be, again, quiet, and the weather will be quiet for a couple of days. We just have to get this line through, hopefully with minimal damage reports. And so far, haven't had major damage reports in eastern Iowa as of yet, which is some good news. Have had major damage reports, and we've seen some pictures in the Greenfield area, especially back in western areas of Iowa as those storms continue to move through.
Ask and you shall receive, Joe. We have that video available now on Interstate 80 of the view of the storms passing through, I believe. Yeah, dark skies for sure. About to see some stronger storms moving in as well, and moving in from the west. Let's look at Max 2 as well. A view from our Parkersburg City Cam as storms are really approaching the area now. As storms have been moving in quickly, they've been a little difficult to pick out any sort of particular features in these storms in terms of an overall view of, let's say, a shelf cloud or any sort of wall cloud activity. Certainly not seeing that in Parkersburg. Some rain is coming down in that area. And about to see an increase in wind, it looks like, based on the radar information we have, either near or just west of Parkersburg toward the Applington area. You're probably going to see some pretty strong winds, as well as up toward Kesley and Allison, as some stronger gusts pass through that region.
So from radar, can you estimate kind of what wind speeds might be seen in that storm as well as it moves through? And we're talking so far about some straight line winds as they've continued to move along with these thunderstorms.
Yeah.
And again, all under thunderstorm warnings because of the strong winds.
Yeah, we can put, let's see, a view here of that area near Parkersburg. Yes. There's the winds. Now remember, of course, radar shoots off the ground, so it doesn't go straight, and the Earth curves, and so the beam gets farther away from the surface of the Earth, rather, as it gets farther away from the radar site, because that slope in the Earth as it curves away from it. So this is a little bit up in the air, but we'll just sort of pick a couple of points. It shows velocities there at about 4,500 feet off the ground at 97 miles per hour. Now that doesn't translate to 97 on the ground.
Correct, but
it's an indicative of that area of strong winds that's going to be passing to the northeast. We'll actually put this in a loop, which we don't do a lot with our velocity data, but just kind of to show you, one, how fast things are moving. These are just cruising by in a hurry. 65 miles per hour is highway speed. The Grundy Center area also probably experiencing some stronger winds, but that area in far eastern Hardin County, tracking into northwestern Grundy and southwestern Butler County. That's one area for sure that looks like it has a pretty good potential to produce some stronger winds in the near future.
again, more and more damage reports coming in from western and central areas of Iowa. So far, nothing here in eastern Iowa, but we're going to follow this line as it continues to move through. And again, the one tornado warning is far down to the south right now. That includes Mahaska County as well as Wapello County. Let's go ahead and take a look down at that storm and see how it's evolving as well. And you see that is moving just off to the west of Ottumwa. And moving off toward the northeast at about 60 miles per hour earlier. Some strong, large hail within that storm. That certainly is still a possibility as that storm moves toward the Oskaloosa area. Eventually, if that storm holds its strength, it would move into areas of Keokuk County, into areas of southern Iowa County. So that's why we, again, have to continue to watch that storm as it moves through. Oskaloosa right now, I certainly would be watching very carefully. Northern areas of Wapello County, north of Ottumwa itself, I'd be in your safe shelter because you do want to be safe. That warning goes until 6:15 as that 60 mile per hour movement continues off toward the east-northeast, and we'll certainly continue to follow that storm as well. That's farther down to the south. That tornado warning in effect until 6:15.
We'll take a look at velocity on Max 2 of that same storm, showing that area of rotation starting to show up a little bit better here in terms of being able to discern it from the other areas of the storm. It's near Georgetown, which is outside of even the KYOU area that we're concerned about, but Ottumwa is just on the right side of your picture, and it's the reds and greens here that I'll put a little marker on to indicate where we're seeing that rotation. Yeah, that is going to be tracking to the northeast into northwestern Wapello County primarily, right up along Highway 137. It's going to be a little while still before it gets there, but not as long as you think, just due to the speed of these storms. No reports of a tornado there, as Joe mentioned, but certainly the most rotation in a storm, at least as it stands right now across the area. A couple other areas that we want to highlight, though. I'm going to pull back here for a wider view of some of this velocity view from our central Iowa storms. No tornado warnings in effect for any portions of Tama County. You see numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, but this is the same area where we've occasionally seen rotation develop in terms of the storm sort of wrapping up upon itself. No warning again as of right now, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on it, so too will the National Weather Service. But this area that is just northwest of Tama certainly catches my attention up toward the Garwin area. We'll be tracking toward Traer here in the near future. Some sign of broad rotation there. Nothing that would suggest an imminent tornado, but notice those bright colors. Again, as we've talked about multiple times, this is much closer to the ground here, only about 4,000 feet. So it's a little bit closer than where we were talking about earlier, but we're still talking about wind speeds detected by radar very, very strong at that rate in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range. And those could easily translate down to the surface. We've seen it multiple times. Marshalltown, within the past half hour, as those storms moved through, they got a 64 mile per hour gust to their airport, which is just north of town there. So certainly still seeing those reports as these strong storms move through.
Meteorologist Jan Ryherd, meteorologist Hannah Messier have been here. Jan, you've been watching things as well from behind where Corey and I are standing right now. What do you have and what are you seeing?
Yeah, I was going to call out that 64 mile per hour wind gust that Corey had just mentioned there, officially reported at Marshalltown. There's been several other wind gusts in that range, and National Weather Service expects those to kind of move downstream into Black Hawk, Tama County, as Corey was just talking about. But Newton reported a 71 mile per hour gust. Further back, Algona reporting 70 mile per hour gusts. So again, with those storms, those central Iowa storms, we definitely have seen those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Regardless of if there's a tornado warning or not. And just want to make sure that folks aren't waiting for that tornado warning to seek that safe shelter, and that they're using that severe thunderstorm warning as well as that alert to get to that safe spot.
Yep, get to your safe spot soon. Heed the warnings that are in effect, and we're seeing that confirmed now, as Jan had mentioned, with the 70 mile an hour winds, and that's what a lot of these storms are warned for as well as they head farther off toward the north and east. I do understand we have some damage. We can take a look from Greenfield, Iowa. We've been talking about Greenfield as one of the areas that were hardest hit, and we'll just kind of watch this video and see what we see. That's a Casey's gas station. We can see some of the canopy ripped off there. Lots of debris laying around. You also notice in the background the trees kind of stripped. Notice that fence and all the debris that's laying around, an indication that there is going to be a lot of damage. That appears to be some of the Casey's area as well. More of that canopy that's been ripped off, and there you see just some neighborhoods. Some of the homes in back not damaged at all. Some of the homes in the front of the picture right now completely destroyed. And again, that very classic picture of the trees kind of being stripped and topped as that tornado moved through, just shredded as we can see. Looks like some type of building again, an office type building potentially. Just damage, as you can see, just kind of piling up. Could very well be home or neighborhood damage, as we can see, because you can see the steps. If you look very carefully, you can see the steps into what was once a house. We feel very bad for those people in Greenfield right now that have seen that damage push across the area. Let's go to Max 3 if we can when we have a chance. I understand we have a couple of pictures to show you as well. Meteorologist Hannah Messier had a couple of pictures on there. First of all, we had a picture of the storms as they moved into Butler County. This came from the Butler County EMA in Dumont. Certainly in the distance you can see the rain shaft moving in, but also that strong winds in the front part of that storm. In the second picture as well, we have of some flooding that was occurring. And Corey mentioned that earlier and certainly dealt with that this morning with the heavy rains that pushed through the area. Some of the flooding that was in Tama County as well, crossing the roads. If you do, that was south of Tama and west of Toledo from Ethan that sent that in. If you encounter flooded roads, again, and we know this in eastern Iowa, but it's always a good reminder, don't try to cross that. You have no idea how deep that water is, and it can move a car very, very quickly. So some of the threats that we're dealing with today.
Yeah, and that, as we have mentioned before, flooding is the deadliest weather threat. Unfortunately, it kills the most people in the United States each year out of tornadoes, lightning, hurricanes, all those things.
People don't think about it, but it is.
Absolutely. I understand our coverage partners from KCCI have a view of Greenfield. It's a live picture from the area. This is, of course, live, so it's raw video. It's going to be a little shaky, but let's just take a look for a couple of seconds and see what we can see. It's not going to have a lot of context, unfortunately, but it does illustrate a devastating tornado.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's overturned, looks like some machinery there, or a type of vehicle of some sort. The debris you can just see laying all over. You look down the street there, again, that's where houses were. Looks like some type of a foundation from a house. Trees just totally gone. And you see that entire neighborhood just seeing lots and lots of damage. Then again, a live picture from our coverage partners, KCCI over in Des Moines. And we've seen several homes right now in the Greenfield area damaged as well. Earlier, we showed you some video of several of the turbines in Adams County that also went down. something you don't see often with these storms as well, but some of that from tornadic damage as well. So numerous areas of damage. We have a couple of warnings we need to get to. First of all, we have a new tornado warning that has been now issued. This would include Black Hawk and Tama County. So this is Black Hawk and Tama County. It is just off to the north of the city of Tama. It does include Traer. It does include LaPorte City. It will be along in Buckingham, 63 to 96 over to Highway 21, right in the Dysart area. Keep that in mind. Tornado radar indicated rotation, some small hail in the storm as well. Second tornado warning that has been issued. Let's widen the picture out, and it looks like that is farther toward the north. This continues for areas now of Bremer, as well as Butler and Grundy County. So far western areas of Grundy County included in that, as well as now much of Butler County, and as we can see, getting into northern areas of Bremer County as well, as that storm continues to produce radar indications that we could see tornadic formation. Again, these storms continue to move very rapidly, so those of you in Bremer, Butler, Grundy, under that warning, that is just the far northern, just a little small section. It's near the Parkersburg area as it heads toward Grundy County, as well as those of you in Black Hawk County, particularly the small sliver of southern Black Hawk County that includes LaPorte City, back across Tama County in Traer, Cloutier, and Garwin. You want to be in your safe place right now because these storms are moving rapidly through, and as we've seen in western Iowa, they have been producing damage as those storms have moved off toward the east. Again, these are radar indicated. Doesn't mean a tornado is there, but it certainly does mean that tornado is certainly possible. A new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. This is in effect, as we can see, and we'll move the radar just a bit. It's in advance, so now the Weather Service issuing a little farther in advance before that storm arrives. It goes until 6:30 for Buchanan County, as well as the northwest half of Benton County. That would include the city of Vinton. So Independence, Vinton, you now are included in a severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 6:30 for 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as hail, 1 inch in diameter. As you look off toward the west, that's the storms that are moving in, and because they have that tornado warning in effect and that rotation, the severe thunderstorm warning also includes that tornado possible tag, which means as that storm moves in, the rotation could hold, and we could see tornadic formation in this area. If you are in Benton County, including Vinton right now, in Buchanan County, including Independence, get to your safe place. It's until 6:30, so about a 45-minute time for that storm to move through. That also includes the city of Brandon, as we head farther south, as we can see just north of the city of Van Horn.
Let's take a look at Max 2. We'll talk a little bit about the storm moving through Butler County into portions of Bremer and Grundy County, far northwest Grundy County, it looks like, far northern Grundy County, rather. So mostly for Bremer and Butler at this point. Very strong winds at the very least, but there has been some sign of rotation. We can actually put a double box. We've got Waverly City Cam up on Max 3, which we can show you in the small box in the corner. But it's the storm area to the north, just due west of the Waverly area, which you can see that darkening in the middle of your screen where the strongest area is. If we pinpoint just a little bit closer, picking out the individual areas of rotation here, again, difficult for a couple of reasons. We have really strong winds in the atmosphere, and that kind of adds a background wind speed to the overall picture on our velocity view. And the storm itself is moving 75 miles per hour now, so that does add to the complication of trying to discern where these areas of rotation are. We would pull up our Parkersburg City Cam, but it's unreachable at the moment, so it's possible that they have had a power fluctuation there in the Parkersburg area with the winds moving through at the very least. Yeah, these areas of rotation, again, difficult to identify. I would certainly just say if you're inside this warning box due to that reason and due to the fact that we've seen things spin up really, really quickly, just be in shelter, even if you're not in an area that's evident there. I think we're looking probably primarily here just about near Highway 3, east of Allison, perhaps down just west of Shell Rock as well, just trying to pick out a couple of areas that could show some of that rotation at this point. Yeah, so there's certainly strong winds that look like a pretty good guarantee as these storms pass through the Butler County area. I'm actually going to pan to the south a little bit here and take a look at areas down toward Tama County in terms of what we can pick out on velocity. This one a little easier to tell as this tornado warning continues for northern Tama County as well as southern Blackhawk County, I believe, until, do you recall, Joe?
The Blackhawk County till
Yes,
6:15.
6:15, okay. Yep, there you go. And the area of rotation that we are concerned about is approaching the Traer area very, very soon. So if you're not in shelter already in Traer, you will need to be immediately, as this is tracking very quickly to the northeast. Dysart as well. Northwestern Benton County not included in this, but if you live near the Highway 218 area in Benton County, just be ready for that possibility. Could be a secondary area of rotation here, a couple of different areas within this line. So we're watching both as this tracks to the northeast through Tama County. If not, again, without the tornado, even if that's not taking place, winds will be very, very strong. We're still expecting 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And again, Traer, Buckingham, Dysart, all of those areas, please get in shelter as soon as you can.
And Tristan, I'm going to ask if you can have and get that video back of the turbines going down. I'd like to show that again just to illustrate the power. You can get some time. Whenever you could get that would be great. Just let me know. There's a look at pinpoint Doppler radar. So we're looking at an entire line, still continuing, but enough rotation within that line from time to time and spot to spot to see that tornadic formation, which we're seeing. And that stretches north to south, so it still moves across the entire TV9 viewing area and just moved in an additional severe thunderstorm warning, and this will cover the remainder of Blackhawk County. And let's just move the radar just a little bit. And let's see if we can get it right there. Is it there? There you go. Blackhawk, as well as the rest of Bremer County, you are now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. That's with the same cells that are moving through the Waverly area right now that Corey was talking about, moving through the Parkersburg area. 70-mile-an-hour winds can be expected. Jan certainly illustrated that with the storm reports that continue to come in, and they are moving off again with hail about an inch in diameter. Haven't had a lot of hail reports, which is just fine, but we have had those 70-mile-per-hour wind reports, and certainly damage reports from western areas of the state, particularly the Greenfield area. No new warnings right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video. And this was just incredible video showing these turbines that have been pushed down by the tornadic winds, just kind of shredded on top and went down. We can see that the one was at that point in time certainly on fire as it moved down, and this was again in Adams County over in the western part of the state, just illustrating the damage and the strength that these storms had as they moved across portions of eastern Iowa. So certainly keep that in mind as these storms move in. That's why we continue to say, as you get warned, severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, we've said it numerous times and continue to say it, heed these warnings. It is a very serious situation. In fact, a particularly dangerous situation right now in eastern Iowa as the storms have entered and are moving through.
And actually, at last update, Adams County, about 38% without power in the area. Adair County nearby, 46% without power. Meanwhile, in eastern Iowa, Franklin, Floyd counties, about 10% to 25% quarter customers without power. So starting to see some of those power outages moving into eastern Iowa too. Yep,
and that will continue. Again, we've got a couple hours yet at least to go through 2-3 hours as these storms progress toward the east. I'm just going to run down a wide view right now. You see the line moving through, and then we'll go ahead and hit the warnings that are out there right now. And we go farther to the north first. Let's start from north and let's move to the south. We do have that warning that does extend near the, well, I guess that warning has, yep, there it is, Chickasaw as well as Howard County, just off to the west of Winnebago County, although we're seeing some development in Winnebago County as well as West Union. We'll watch to see how that evolves and goes. We're looking at 70-mile-an-hour winds and the potential for rotation within these storms as well. Farther to the south, we do have that tornado warning that does continue, and this is just near the Waverly, the Frederica area. That storm itself moving off toward the north and east, so far back toward Applington, Parkersburg area. It looks like more of a rain event right now, although you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning in advance of the storms that are moving out of Tama County, out of Grundy and Blackhawk County. That's in effect until 6:30 for Benton and Buchanan County. 70-mile-an-hour winds certainly possible. Watch the rotation to see what it does as it moves through. We do continue to see that tornado warning for Blackhawk and Tama County. This is far southern Blackhawk County near the LaPorte City area, as well as Traer is kind of where that system is right now, just off off to the north and west of Cloutier. That's in effect until 6:15, which takes it again through that area. It's now moving through the Garwin area, just north of Tama. Another cell farther back to the west under severe thunderstorm warning. Certainly could see some wind and hail with that storm in southern Tama County as we continue to see a warning. Farther south, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that continues, or a tornado warning that continues for a large portion of southeast Mahaska County, would include the city of Oskaloosa, and we also then extend that into northern areas of Wapello County, north of Ottumwa. It appears that that will move to the north of the city of Ottumwa, eventually could move into northern Keokuk, southern areas of Iowa County, southern Poweshiek County as that continues. And an additional severe thunderstorm warning, so this again heads into southwest areas or southern areas of Minnesota, but in our viewing area is Winneshiek County. You are now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. That's as those storms develop and particularly move in from the Cresco and New Hampton area. You could see some 70-mile-an-hour winds, as Corey was illustrating. Strong winds within these storms. Whether you have a tornado or not, 70-mile winds are certainly there.
Let's take a look at Max 2 real quick. View from our Ottumwa City Cam. You can see the radar down in the corner showing that Winneshiek County warning. But there is a view looking off toward the tornadic warned storm near Wapello County as well as Mahaska County. We're sort of looking for any sort of distinct feature. It's a little difficult to see due to the setting sun. But if I'll point out here just a little bit, this is where the cloud base is, and you can see a couple of little lowerings in portions of the area, just kind of curvatures in the cloud. That's the same area where we're seeing some signature on radar, which I'm going to pull up here on our velocity view to give you a view of where that rotation is. Latest update, which we will pinpoint here. Yeah, you can see that rotation now really approaching the Oskaloosa area. So if you live in the Oskaloosa area, you are included in this tornado warning that continues, and you certainly will want to be seeking shelter. Areas just west of Cedar as well. This is right on your doorstep as it moves to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. So certainly want to get into that safe shelter as soon as you possibly can, as we have that strong, relatively strong rotation showing up. Nothing evident on our CityCam view from that distance, but certainly on the radar would be a bit concerning.
I understand we have that live picture again from KCCI, this in the Greenfield area. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is again some of the damage that we saw. Apparently Greenfield very, very hard hit by a tornado. We've seen numerous pictures coming out of the Greenfield area. There you see some clothing or something inside that tree. Most of the trees topped off. And you can see in the distance, and we'll take a look. And again, this is a live feed, so they're kind of setting their camera up, and we're going to kind of see it as they go and as they work. You can see that numerous people gathering to kind of start to clean up. Essentially, that's what Greenfield will be doing right now, cleaning up from the storm as it moves through. Looks like they're near the school right now in that area. And again, saw numerous areas in that neighborhood just off to the left of your picture of damage as well from the Greenfield storm. That again, a live picture from KCCI as the storms continue to move through. As we look at pinpoint Doppler radar, the lightning holding very, very good energy within the storms. That certainly continues. As we can see, we just removed for a short period of time all of the warnings that are out there, but we have new warnings to take you to, so let's go ahead and take a look. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that now extends from Henry County into southern areas of Washington County. So it'll go in eastern Iowa again from Henry County across areas of Jefferson County to the north. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds, as well as the potential for some 1-inch hail as those storms move out of Missouri, heading off toward the north and east ahead of the front. A second severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. This until 6:45, so that takes us again for about the next 50 minutes or so with a severe thunderstorm warning for some 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1.5-inch size hail, so some larger hail within the cell as this storm moves out of the Jones County area. It is just off to the west of Anamosa, just off to the, or east of Anamosa rather, west of the city of Wyoming, just south of Monticello at the present time. Movement on this system, we'll take a look, and we'll put a storm track on for you, and then we'll head farther south and storm track that cell as well as it was moving across areas of Washington County, moving off to the northeast at about 60. So they have all been consistent, whether they're part of that line or just developing, moving right around 60 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and take this and project it out with the potential for some strong winds. That would put it in Monticello about 558, so pretty close. Scotch Grove about 601, Cascade at 612, Farley City Park about 617, Epworth at 623, and Rickardsville at about 630. With the current movement, you can expect some strong winds, some frequent lightning, and the potential will be there for some large hail. As we head farther to the south once again with that storm across areas of Washington County, we'll go ahead and project that as well, moving at 60 miles per hour. This also has some 70-mile-per-hour winds with it. Now, Washington, you may see some gusty winds or some lightning and rain earlier with that previous cell, but it looks like probably moving into your area about 624, moving through Trenton at 614, and Glasgow about 602. Again, that's based on the current movement with that storm. Just a quick wide view again shows you that we do have that line of storms, numerous thunderstorms now forming ahead of that line, and we're getting warned on as well for the potential, and we now notice again scattered areas of showers and storms beginning to move out of central Iowa, heading farther across eastern Iowa. Still the potential there, and as a result, we do continue to see a tornado watch that remains in effect for eastern Iowa. That's in effect until 9 o'clock. Franklin and Hardin County have been taken out of that watch, which is expected as those storms move through, because once that storm system moves through, that ends our severe weather threat with this particular system. As we've been talking about, damaging winds are certainly possible with these storms. Could be upwards of 90. We have had reports of 70-mile-an-hour winds. Large hail, haven't had a large hail reports yet. We'll continue to watch. And tornadic formation we certainly have seen as well. New severe thunderstorm warning kind of embedded within all of these severe thunderstorm warnings. This is just across areas of Poweshiek County. That, again, a severe thunderstorm warning that will be in effect until about 6:30 tonight as that movement continues with about a 60-mile-an-hour winds. And then down to the south, we have the tornado warning that does continue for portions of Mahaska County. Now it looks like Wapello County just to the north of you, so I think Wapello County, you're clear of that warning. Blackhawk, Tama County, the Traer area over toward LaPorte City, that tornado warning does continue. Radar indicated again until 6:15. Also want to mention that KDAT and K92.3 in Waterloo are once again broadcasting our coverage. We certainly thank them for that, and thank all of our radio partners for taking our coverage as well. Another way that you can connect with us and get your coverage, as well as we've been streaming our continuous coverage on KCRG.com. Also, on the First Alert Weather app, we continue to do that as well. So there's numerous places that you can get our coverage, and we always have numerous ways to receive warnings. Hopefully you have that in place, because we're seeing those right now.
Yeah, top of the hour, and we've got a lot going on at this point. Like you've indicated, all those warnings up and down that line.
Yeah, it's hard to sort out all the
Yes.
warnings. So let's just say that if that line is moving into your area, you're under some sort of warning, be it a tornado warning right now or a severe thunderstorm warning. And right now, no confirmed tornadoes, correct?
I believe in our viewing area, we haven't heard anything confirmed. The one tornado warning we have is radar indicated at this point. The second one, I guess, down in Mahaska County, also radar indicated. So at this point, we're not seeing a repeat of the quick and violent tornado potentially that we saw in central Iowa, that Greenfield footage that we've seen so
Yeah,
far.
that damage is just unbelievable that you see from Greenfield. Our hearts go out to those folks in Greenfield, really hard hit by that storm itself. You can see, again, we have that tornado warning in effect, but we'll widen the picture out, give you that wide view to kind of show you across eastern Iowa right now, numerous areas of showers and storms. And as we put that into motion, you do see once again that moving off toward the east and northeast, continuing that rapid movement right around 60 miles per hour. So what we'll do is we'll stop it right here, and let's just take a storm track and let's track out the entire line just to kind of give you some indication. And we'll kind of track the front edge of some of the strongest cells. And as we move off toward areas in the next couple of hours, you see it arrive in Cedar Rapids around 6:33 again, give or take. Iowa City around 6:43. Washington about 6:22. You could see a storm earlier, but that's the strongest cell down to your south. Tipton about 7:04. Lancaster at 7:20. Dubuque and DeWitt right around 7:20, 7:30 time frame. So again, that's some of the areas that you may see some, about the time, approximate time certainly, give or take a little time frame on either side as those storms continue to move and head off toward the east. As they do, we continue to watch the threats across eastern Iowa. If you are seeing any warnings in your area, you do want to get to a safe shelter. And indeed, the safest place to be, of course, is in your basement, the lowest level possible. Get under something sturdy, grab your bike helmet, cover with blankets or pillows. Make sure you avoid windows, outside walls, and doors. The basement's going to be the safest place. If you can't get there, get to a small interior room. You want to be in a safe spot as those storms move through, and you want to get to that safe spot quickly as we do continue to watch these storms move at a very, very rapid pace. It looked like a new warning just came out, or maybe a little reissuance of that warning down to the south.
Yeah, it looks like maybe an update.
Yep.
That one with the hail threat, I believe, probably a primary, with the wind damage threat too. There was a report of quarter-sized hail near Anamosa earlier, so that one in Jones and Cedar County has a little bit of confirmation there. That one heading toward Washington. It's not the first cell that's going to move through in the next couple of minutes. It's the one farther south. That will be a bigger factor there. Let's take a look at Max 2 real quick. The last pieces left of this tornado warning for portions of Blackhawk and Tama County. Not much left to it as this storm continues tracking to the northeast. Goes until 6:15, so another 15 minutes or so. Radar, again, not very strong indications of rotation, but we're watching for the possibility of this to change. It would be west of LaPorte City where I would be concerned at this stage with any sort of rotation, but even that is not super evident on radar at this point. This is in and among that line of storms that Joe just described that stretches from north to south. There's more areas of rotation, or at least a tornado warning rather, up to the north. Let's check in on that one up toward Butler County where we have some information up there. And we will quickly check on that before we move on to the new severe thunderstorm warning. The newest information here would be this area just west of Waverly, perhaps with the strongest indication of rotation. That would be toward the Shell Rock area, tracking to the northeast as well. So if you live near Waverly and areas to the north, you certainly would like to be in shelter. Joe, you got that new warning, I believe.
Yep, we do. It's another severe thunderstorm warning. This is for central and northeastern areas of Cedar County, heading up through southern areas of Jones County, and then moving off into Clinton and Jackson County farther to the north. It's for some larger hail, about 1.25 inches possible. Still some gusty winds with any of these storms. It's the storm that's down toward Rochester right now, just south of the city of Tipton itself. The movement continues to be off to the northeast at about 60 miles per hour. So as we kind of pinpoint that for you, and again, move it ahead, you're going to find that storm moving through Tipton, very close to Clarence as well, heading up toward Wyoming. It looks like it arrives in Tipton at about 6:10, so it's about 6 minutes from right now. Clarence, you can expect it about 6:20. Wapsie Park, about 6:24. Wyoming, 6:33. In Monmouth, that storm would arrive at 6:37. The potential is there for some larger hail, as well as some gusty winds as that movement continues off toward the east and northeast. So again, these cells moving off ahead of the main line that's moving through, and we'll watch that main line continue to progress to the east. Still has a ways to go, and we certainly will be watching for any damage reports that happen to come in many areas. Just have a report that power lines reported down in the Charles City area at this time. Also from the Butler County EMA, damage reported in Butler County. TV9 news crews are certainly checking out and finding out what type of damage we're seeing, but reports again of Butler County as that storm moved through of some damage as well, and they were under a tornado warning earlier, and if nothing else, some very, very strong winds.
I believe we have, well, let's check on this new warning first. Another one just came in.
It's just off toward our west, so just out of our viewing area. It's going to include portions of Henry, Lee, Louisa County until 6:45. That again, some strong winds of 70.
Gotcha. Okay, let's check in on, we've got some new video and with Greenfield, that tornado that we talked about earlier, that strong tornado looks like that took place in central Iowa.
Before I went down the basement, I went all around my house and I prayed. Prayed for God to keep us safe and to keep the house safe and my animals safe. And I went downstairs and was in the furnace room, and then I heard like a train, and then insulation came from the basement, one of the basement windows, and came in, and I heard it and I knew it was hitting. It's devastating. I've lived here all my life. I'm just praying that everybody was safe, everybody's safe, and nobody got hurt.
And we're doing the same thing as well. That's just devastating to hear the being down there and then hearing that damage and hearing your home being damaged by that tornadic, that again from the Prescott and Greenfield area. Again, apparently right now one of the hardest hit areas of damage. We've been showing you numerous pictures again from that area earlier with some of the damage, but just an illustration of how strong a storm moved through there, and thinking and praying for all the folks over in Greenfield and the Prescott area right now who are dealing with cleanup after the storms move through.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with cleanup, but we are dealing with storms that continue to push across eastern Iowa. More of a scattered nature off toward the east right now. We have some warnings, as you can see, scattered from Grant County all the way back down to Henry County. And then we continue to look at that main line of storms that extends from Decorah all the way back down farther to the south, just west or east rather of Lamoni. That's moving at about 60 miles an hour and continuing to push off toward the east. So between now and 7, 8 o'clock still, we have to watch those storms push across the area. And as of right now, we have had reports of some damage in Butler County. Don't know what type of damage. Have we heard any other damage reports, anybody?
Not a lot.
You've just covered them pretty well.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, a few traffic signals that have been knocked down in Floyd County, which is indicative of those strong winds too.
Janet mentioned power outages in spots in western, and we're starting to see those move into eastern Iowa as well as those stronger winds are moving through.
Had a 68-mile-per-hour wind gust in Waterloo at the airport just a few minutes ago. So just more confirmation that we've got some of those stronger winds still with us, certainly as we look out at that line, starting to still maintain its strength even as it moves into eastern Iowa.
Yeah, most of the power outages we're seeing right now are kind of right on the fringe of our TV9 viewing area. So a lot of times, obviously, those are going to be a little bit more delayed. So as we're just getting those storms into our neck of the woods, we'll probably get some updates with that here in a
And as
short
you've watched those winds move in, you've seen the map change.
Correct. Yep.
Sounds like we may actually be able to take a look at that map potentially, if I'm not mistaken. Tristan, was that correct? Okay, it's taken a second, but in the meantime, can we go to Max 2 actually briefly? We'll circle back to the power outage. If we could put Max 2 in the main box, or that works. This area of rotation that we still have a tornado warning for in Mahaska County continues to move to the northeast. It has moved past the Oskaloosa area again without incident. We have no reports of tornadic activity there or any damage, which is what we like to hear. This is spreading to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. At this point, and still showing some pretty decent rotation. It's this area, especially right around here, based on some of the looks we've seen on radar, that has the potential to produce that tornado. It's broadened out a little bit over the past half hour or so, which is, again, a good sign. We have seen these warnings kind of come and go frequently here in eastern Iowa, owing both to the fast nature of the storms, but also they just haven't been able to maintain that rotation here on our side of the state for very long, which is, of course, good news here
Absolutely.
in eastern Iowa so far, but certainly that potential is still there until this cold front moves through. Like you said, until the back edge of that storm gets past your area, you still have the chance.
And again, numerous storms that are warned continuing to push across the area. We do have the power outage map. I understand that Tristan can pull up right now for us. So this is what you were looking at, right, Jan?
Yeah.
So again, Floyd, Butler County, that's kind of the area that, and we heard Butler County as well with some damage.
Yes. The direct quote is a lot of damage. That's exactly
Okay.
what the emergency manager said. So it sounds like there's too much to even try to narrow down right now, that they're going to be out doing some damage assessments here in a short period of time.
And again, we'll continue to watch and could see numerous power outages and continue as we work our way through the next couple of hours as this line continues to move through. We've slowed down on some of the new warnings right now, so we'll just kind of, again, until about 6:30, that's when most of these warnings are in effect. Take out the tornado warning that Corey was talking about earlier. The severe thunderstorm warning that is farther to the north, which includes Winneshiek County, that's in effect until 6:30. Could be seeing some strong winds move through there. We've been watching our city cams as well. Haven't seen much so far on the Decorah City Cam. Blackhawk County until 6:30, including Waterloo and Waverly. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds possible. In advance of the warning and still not into Buchanan County yet. That goes until 6:30. As well as the northwest half of Benton County. In advance, the storms are just beginning to approach right now. 70 mile per hour wind as well. Tornado possible because of the rotation in that storm near the Black Hawk County area. That until 6:15, so that goes again for about the next 4 minutes or so. Farther south, we notice warnings that continue across Tama County. That Tama County warning is in effect as well until 6:30. And farther to the south right now, as Corey was looking across areas of Mahaska County, that tornado warning still continues, has not been extended into areas of Keokuk or Iowa County. Likely maybe a severe thunderstorm warning issued on that as it moves in as well if that rotation is not present, just from the potential for some gustier winds as well as the potential for some hail as well. Then we move farther to the south. Near the Mount Pleasant area, we have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:45. Washington, right now, you're not under any warnings themselves, but southern Washington County, as you approach Henry County from the north, that's where you have a warning that's in effect until 6:30. Tipton area right now, Clarence area, Lost Nation, Rochester area, some large hail certainly in that storm, as well as some 60-mile-an-hour winds. That likely will slide just to the southeast of the city of Tipton as far as the strongest part of that cell. That takes it farther north as well, up toward areas of Jones County, where we do notice in the Scotch Grove, Cascade area, Highway 136, east of the city of Monticello, including Cascade right now. That severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 6:45. Dubuque, no warnings themselves, but Dubuque County, the western half of Dubuque County, severe thunderstorm warning continues until 6:45 with 1 1/4 inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds still possible. Again, this is all part of that line that continues to push across eastern Iowa, holding some strength as it does move through, and we'll continue to watch that as well as we move off toward the east at about 65 miles per hour. Numerous damage reports across western Iowa and across areas of Butler County in particular here in eastern Iowa.
You want to pop up, we'll actually take a view of Decorah. Could you make Max 3 full screen, actually? Just sort of illustrate one point here in the Decorah area. That flag on that flagpole, if you can see it in between raindrops, is hanging on by one clasp at this point. Has blown off the pole, or at least is attempting to. Just kind of illustrates how strong the winds are. Certainly blinding rain in the Decorah area at this point. Could be some small hail mixed in there too. In the northern portion of the viewing area, Winneshiek County, all of it included in that severe thunderstorm warning that goes until later this evening. That goes until 6:30 this evening. Yes.
And nearby there, Ridgeway actually sounding the tornado sirens, it sounds like, according to one of our viewers reporting that. So.
I'd say based just on that strength of the winds we're
exactly.
seeing. Yeah, definitely something, probably a good idea, as we always recommend, get in shelter if you can. Mm-hmm. We'll take a look at, put that back in the small box if you could, and the big box on Max 2. Another area where some stronger winds are moving through Poweshiek County. No tornado warning in effect, but areas north of Highway 6 in Poweshiek County, some indication of some especially stronger winds. Moving just north of Brooklyn and over toward Hartwick. Sheridan also on the edge of these as this tracks off to the northeast. Could be some small sign of a rotation or an area of rotation trying to develop just southeast of Haven there, you see. No, again, no tornado warning in effect, and that rotation is a very small area, but the potential certainly is there, again, for quick spin-ups, which is why we're kind of keeping with you here as these storms move through. Quite a bit of severe thunderstorm action, and it looks like a new warning as well, Joe.
And this will be for, looks like, Fayette County. So again, we'll be watching Fayette County as those storms move toward the east and move out of areas farther to the south across areas of Black Hawk and Buchanan County, enter Fayette County from Oline, all the way through Fayette and West Union, the entire county up toward Postville as well. We can see that we do have that severe thunderstorm warning similar to others. It is until 7 o'clock, however, and 70-mile-an-hour winds possible, damage possible as well as that storm continues to move off toward the east-northeast. Again, right around 60 miles per hour. We'll go ahead and storm track that for you as well. Haven't done a lot of storm tracking in northeast Iowa because we haven't found much in the way of storms moving in until now, which is expected as those storms continue to move through. Fairbank about 619, Oline about 625, Maynard about 632, Hawkeye 637. Fayette at 6:38, West Union at 6:44, Claremont should arrive at about 6:51. That again, the potential for some strong winds of 70 miles per hour and some small hail as that storm continues to push off toward the east and northeast.
One illustration of those strong winds, Johnston, which is going to be, or Johnston, sorry, which is going to be in the Des Moines area, reporting that windows in the high school have been blown out, so they're not having school tomorrow now. Just another reminder that, again, you don't necessarily need a tornado warning to get that damage. And when you are safe in your shelter, we always say get away from windows, be in that interior room, and that goes for things outside of tornadoes. That goes for just those severe thunderstorm warnings as well, that there can also be some pretty intense damage from those. So strong winds definitely being realized, and that's just another example that we can see from central Iowa where these storms moved through a short time ago. Again, that's no school in the Johnston area there in Des Moines because of windows blown out along in the high school, lots of trees down, trailers down as well in central Iowa too, and also getting a recent report of power lines down near Traer in Tama County. So again, starting to see more of that wind damage progressing through eastern Iowa at this time too.
If we put up Max 2 real quick, just look at Vinton of storms moving into the area, sort of the leading edge of what could be some stronger and gusty winds in the Vinton area. Vinton included in that severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30 this evening. A lot of warnings going until 6:30, so we're going to have a bunch of new ones here coming up pretty soon as those continue to press to the east. We also, I understand, have a live picture from Ottumwa. Our friends on our sister station, KYOU, joining us as well. View of the area there where pretty heavy rain. This is another cell, not severe warned at this point, but certainly some heavier downpours. And there is a secondary line of storms that stretches west of the Ottumwa area. Until that final line passes through, we're not going to be fully out of the woods in our southern portion of the viewing area, our southern zone. One other note of housekeeping, the tornado warning that was in effect for Mahaska County, no longer in effect. It was allowed to expire.
And now another severe thunderstorm warning issued for an area that has not been under a warning yet. This is for southern areas of Benton County, the northwest 2/3 of Iowa County, a small sliver of Johnson County, as well as a small northern sliver of Keokuk County. This is for 70-mile-an-hour winds and the potential, once again, for some large hail. We'll storm track and then we'll pinpoint that area, give you an indication of where, and we'll kind of hit the front side as we can. And that would take that cell into Victor at about 6:24, Lador at 6:32, Marengo, that storm arrives at about 6:39. Memorial Park right around 6:40 as well, and then high in East Amana 6:40, 6:50, Walford about 6:51, and Fairfax, that storm arrives at 6:55. Again, this is a 70-mile-an-hour wind, rotation in the storm leading to that tornado possible that you see, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning for strong winds and some large hail. Just to give you an indication of some of the cities that are within that warning, let's go ahead and pinpoint it for you. So as we mentioned, it does include Van Horn as we head up toward Benton County. Blairstown, Norway, Belle Plaine, you'd be included in this warning. East Amana, certainly included in this warning as well. Marengo, Williamsburg, Victor, Brooklyn, Guernsey, Millersburg, Deep River, you're feeling its effects right now, farther off toward the west. And in far northern Keokuk County, it's right at the intersection of Highway 21 and Highway 22, just off to the southwest of the city of North English that warning is in effect for. That again goes until 7 o'clock. So we're seeing what we expect, a continuation of the warnings across the area as we work our way through the evening hours, through the 7, 8 o'clock hour or so. We continue to see those warnings projected farther out. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Dubuque County, as well as northern Jones County for 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's in effect until 6:45. So that would include Holy Cross, Bankston, Epworth, Cascade, as well as Sherrill. Farther to the south, Cascade, as we mentioned, then right along Highway 136, just off to the east of Scotch Grove or north of Onslow. That's where that warning is in effect for. So kind of give you an indication of how far out ahead we're seeing these warnings issued. Winnebago County continues that warning all the way down towards southern Washington County as the storms move through. Let's go ahead and put lightning back on, and I'm just going to take the warnings off for the moment. And needless to say, again, if seeing a storm move through, you're probably seeing severe weather and have some type of warning in effect, get to your safe place, take us with you on your smartphone or through other means, and radio stations as well that are carrying our coverage. We thank our radio partners for doing that. We notice the east-northeastward movement on those cells, still plenty of energy as they do move through. Maybe that line that's just off to the west of Mahaska County right now, not quite as much energy within that line, but it is moving through an area that the atmosphere has been worked over already, so probably not going to recover as quickly with that line moving in quickly behind that. So we'll continue to watch it carefully, but again, still some very powerful cells with the idea that winds could be very strong across the eastern Iowa for the next couple of hours.
Just want to show you a couple things on Max 2 where we're watching these areas of velocity. One area that may be showing a little sign of trying to rotate just near the Chelsea area along Highway 30, a little bit of red and green coming together there. Some evidence of that existing at multiple levels where the radar scans up and down as it goes around as well. It does different heights in the atmosphere. If this rotation doesn't come to pass, you still see those very bright colors near the Chelsea area, probably experiencing some very strong winds, likely to move into the Belle Plaine, Elberon, Keystone, and Luzerne areas in the next several minutes as these storms progress very quickly toward the east. A couple of city cams to show you. Our Independence city cam looking off to the west where storms are approaching. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for the Buchanan County area until 6:30, but as we always do like to do as we start to see these storms move through, and of course we assess any damage that took place. View from our Cedar Falls City Cam shows a sunnier picture as we look off to the west there, some clearing behind that line of storms from Blackhawk County. That area to the west, behind the cold front, should be good in shape after those storms move through.
Yeah, once that passes by, again, we just have to watch and make sure that that all moves through safely, what's moving through, but that clearing certainly a good indication of what we're going to see. And certainly tonight, as well as tomorrow, Thursday, some nice quiet weather after what has been so far a very active afternoon and now heading into our evening hours as well. Understand we have more video right now from the Greenfield area, just hard hit. Just take a look at that, just unbelievable. The tree damage that you see, the home damage, the building damage. Again, you can just see it all over Greenfield, just looking at some of the social media posts that we have access to as well. Greenfield heavily damaged by this storm. Saw some aerial views a bit earlier as well, and just confirms what you're seeing there. A tornado moved through. Path of damage certainly destroying many homes. And again, there, look at that tree, just totally shredded off the top. Numerous areas. You see some of that housing wrapped around the trees, a very good indication that you see sometimes with tornadic formation. Hopefully no injuries or death, but we're kind of watching that very carefully as well. We did have reports in eastern Iowa, areas of Floyd County, Butler County with some damage as well. I have not confirmed yet what type of damage that is, but certainly as Jan was reporting earlier, some of the power outages that we've seen with that as well as those storms move through. This is what the radar looks like right now. We've just taken off the warnings for a period of time just to take a look at what we're seeing. And there are scattered thunderstorms beginning to enter areas of Dubuque County right now, moving toward the city of Dubuque. We can see that probably will move through the area as we work our way through the next 10 minutes or so. This is still in advance of that line. That line's farther west, but certainly near the Bernard area. We could be seeing some areas of hail within that, and there are some warnings out, not particularly for the city of Dubuque, but we do have warnings that are out for other areas as well. Severe thunderstorm warning, newest one that has just been issued, and it takes that line that's near the Independence area and moves it farther off toward the east. This includes areas of Benton, which is still under a warning, and now it's under a different warning. The eastern half or western half of Manchester, or Delaware County, which includes the city of Manchester, as well as Buchanan County, which is under another warning as well, extending that until 7:15. Again, 70-mile-an-hour winds possible as that cell moves through. And we talked about the potential for some heavy areas of rain. It does look like in Winneshiek County, northern areas of Fayette County right now, we do have a flash flood warning in effect. That was an area that got some pretty good rain, and as we talked about the past couple of days, areas that could receive heavier rains as well as that storm continues to move through the area. So that flash flood warning is in effect for portions, again, of Winneshiek County, as well as northern areas of Fayette County, including Kalmar as well as Decorah, with numerous areas of heavy rain.
If you want to
Jan,
take a
some power outages for us.
Yes, we do have several power outages reported. Over 50% actually of Tama County now without power. Thousands really being reported at this point, so we must have just gotten a big update in. Looks like 3,000 in Black Hawk County without power, 2,000, over 2,000 in Butler County, near 3,000 there, near 3,000 in Floyd County, Jasper County, over 5,000 without power, Poweshiek County, 1,500. So again, a lot of power outages starting to come in, just showing the power of those winds as those storms are progressing further forward. A reminder that those storm reports, those power outages, we're going to get later on. We're going to get those after the fact. So as those storms are happening, we're not necessarily going to be getting those reports in. So these are indicative of the winds that are kind of just ahead, or the storms that are happening just ahead of where those reports are coming in from right now.
And you can take a look at pinpoint Doppler radar, and you do see as that storm has moved through, and Jan's been talking and showing those power outages, we notice more and more power outages as those storms move through. Those 70-plus mile-an-hour winds at times, certainly indicative of that as these storms continue that movement. I do want to go ahead and just take a look at our storm reports that we have. This is in the past 6 hours, and you have numerous storm reports across portions of the state. You do see those strong areas and more tornadic reports farther back off to the west, from Ames and points down to the south and west. And we'll go ahead and kind of take off some of the reports as well, just to give you a little indication to kind of walk through the different areas that we've seen some of those reports. As you take a look, there's where our tornado reports were. Right now, back farther off toward the west, doesn't mean there have not been tornadoes in much of eastern Iowa yet, but as of right now, we have not seen that. But several reports of funnel clouds as well as tornadoes back across western areas of the state. As we take the tornado reports off, and let's just add in the wind reports that we've seen, now we get into some of what we're seeing in eastern Iowa, some of those wind reports, particularly areas of Black Hawk County, heading across areas of Benton County, back toward Floyd County, Butler County as well, reporting some of those high wind reports. And then we go ahead and add in some of the hail reports, and some of these were earlier as well. We had some isolated cells that moved through with some hail reports earlier, seeing some hail reports here and there. Thankfully, the hail has not been as large as it could be with a storm like this, and we're certainly thankful for that. But again, numerous areas receiving some type of severe weather from this afternoon in eastern Iowa now into what is our evening hours. As we take a look once again at pinpoint Doppler radar, we're going to be finding a line of storms that continues to push through, and we'll check out that new severe thunderstorm warning, which is now going to include northern areas of Allamakee County. So let's go ahead and zoom that in for you and pinpoint from Lansing to New Albion. Now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7:30. That's with the cells that are moving out of the Winneshiek County area and moving now through northern areas of Allamakee, southern areas of Minnesota. 70-mile-an-hour winds will certainly be possible, and as Corey pointed out from our Decorah City Cam, flag indicating that they had some really powerful winds move through the Decorah area as well, as it was just hanging on right now, the last check that we had.
From the newsroom, apparently Governor Reynolds has already declared 15 counties in the state a disaster area based on today's storms, getting out ahead of that. Included in eastern Iowa, in the edges of the TV9 viewing area, Tama and Hardin, I believe. Probably some of that from the flash flooding this morning, too, I would imagine, already accounting for some of that. So that is an update on the status of that. Certainly some very strong winds with these storms. Another new warning, it looks like, Joe, for the Dubuque area.
Yep, this is going to include the city of Dubuque, the Dubuque Regional Airport. 60-mile-an-hour winds as the storm is moving out of the Bernard area. Again, not unexpected as that storm continues to move through. I would say you could also be seeing some hail up to about 1 inch in diameter. Movement on that storm continues to be the same as our previous storms, which take it upwards of about 60 miles per hour. And if we just kind of pinpoint the highest reflectivity in that cell and track it out, 634, so not far away from the Dubuque Regional Airport. Key West about 637, Miller Track about 640, Dubuque about 641. And Madison Park, 641 as well, as that storm continues to move off toward the east and northeast. Again, anywhere from about 55 to 60 miles per hour. That movement has been consistent throughout this entire event from west to east across the state. So as we've talked about earlier, this is a very fast-moving band of storms. Once we get that line through, this will end our severe weather threat, but we have numerous warnings out there. So this including the city of Dubuque. It is a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 7 p.m. Does include portions of Joe Davis County as well. This would be just off to the northwest of East Galena, as we can see, and we'll pinpoint down for you, including Vinegar Hill, Menominee, Rowling. That would be the area in areas of Joe Davis County that we're seeing that warning in effect for, and that's in effect until 7 o'clock tonight as we watch these storms continue to push through. Wide view, where are we clear? Well, you can see farther off to the west. Grundy County, you're clear. Marshall County, you're clear. Hardin, Franklin County, you're clear as well. In fact, let's take a look at the tornado watch that is in effect. And this tornado watch is now in effect still until 9 o'clock. They haven't officially got rid of any other counties right now, but some of those counties certainly are clear. The Charles City area, back toward Grundy County, over to Marshall County, you're certainly clear of any threat. The other threat does continue, certainly damaging winds and tornadoes. That's what we've seen most prominent from these storms, occasionally some areas of heavy rain as well, that Corey has been pointing out as those storms continue to move through. So we'll watch this officially again in effect until 9 o'clock, but we are seeing again an evolution of this storm as it moves off toward the east, potentially out of the area prior to that 9 o'clock expiration time of the watch.
Let's take a look at Max 2 real quick, where we have a pretty concentrated area potentially of some stronger wind gusts in eastern Tama County, western Benton County. See these bright colors that are right here, and I wonder
And a new tornado warning. in
if
effect.
that's where it's in.
I bet it is. You can stay with you right now.
Sure.
It's Benton and portions of Buchanan County, hail size at 1 inch, and that tornado radar indicated rotation. So this in the area where you're looking right now, just south of LaPorte City.
Yes, and we can actually see that pretty well here as we pinpoint just a little bit closer. It's probably gonna flip colors here as we get to a different radar site. You can see that where the reds and greens and even those bright blues come together. It's this area southwest of Garrison. So if you live in Garrison, Vinton, areas to the northeast, it's this area that is particularly high danger of having a tornado spin up in the very near future, if it hasn't already, just based on the information we're receiving from radar. Even outside of a tornado possibility with this, very strong winds would be taking place regardless as these move through. We'll get our Vinton City Cam going here, but there's the latest sweep. You can see it does move the area of rotation a little bit closer to the Garrison area with this tracking to the northeast very, very quickly. Still at that 65-mile-an-hour range, I would imagine. 65, yep.
Yep, and we projected it out now for you, the storm track itself on that area of rotation. Garrison about 637, Jackson Township Wildlife Area about 642, Mount Auburn at 645, Vinton Veterans Memorial Air Park at about 646, Brandon at 652, the Hoffman Woods area at 653, Spencer's Grove at 656, the Blazing Star Prairie area at 701, and Rowley also 701. That's again for that rotation. You see that little notch in the reflectivity? That's what Corey was referring to as well. That's the area that we're seeing the rotation itself. So coming out of here, moving off toward the east and northeast, it will be very close to the city of Vinton as well. So if you're in this area, in the tornado warned area, you do want to, again, get to your safe place, because we have seen tornadic formation do a lot of damage in several areas across the state earlier today. So please heed this warning carefully. If you are in areas of Benton or Buchanan County up to Independence, including Rowley, including the city of Vinton, you do want to watch as the storm continues to move off toward the east and northeast. The potential is there. There could be a tornado that could be causing damage, something that we will continue to watch. Safest place to be, of course, as we remind you of your tornado safe area, is in your safe place, including the basement. Lowest level you can get to safely. Make sure you get under something sturdy. Grab your bike helmet, and as you're heading downstairs, put it on. Cover with blankets, pillows, or towels. Avoid windows, doors, and outside walls. If no basement is available, a small interior room is the best place you can be. But we want you to be safe. This is true with all of the storms, but right now, of particular area we want to watch is that tornado warning that has been issued for portions of Benton County, heading into areas of Buchanan County. That's in effect, as we can see, with that tornado warning until 7 o'clock tonight. Get to your safe shelter now as that rotation nears 218, heading off toward the north and east.
Let's take a look at Max 3 full screen, why don't we? We can see the storms approaching Vinton. This is the storm that has the tornado warning with it. I'm going to try a little bit of zooming, so bear with me here as we get a little bit closer. This is the leading edge of it, at the very least, probably close to that area of rotation. Not seeing evident signs of a tornado there, which is good, but certainly a possibility as the storm is showing rotation on radar as this storm moves in. I'm going to pull back a little bit wider to give us a clearer picture of this as it moves in. I mean, notice those really that kind of bluish, greenish tint. There's going to be some really heavy rain, possibly some hail involved with this storm too, as it moves into northern portions of Benton County and then sneaking into Buchanan County as well. Yeah, pretty intense storm on the way. Again, even in the absence of a tornado, strong winds, a pretty good bet with this.
And again, our city cam is just one way we can follow the storms all across eastern Iowa in many, many locations. And that indication great from our Vinton city cam, and love the double box right there that you can see. That tornado warning does continue until 7 o'clock. As we mentioned, be in your safe place as that storm moves through. It looks like it's moving near Highway 218, near or just off to the west of the city of Vinton at the present time. We'll continue to watch that carefully on our city cam. Corey kind of manipulating our city cam as well. We do have the ability to change the view so we can watch 360 degrees around from our city cams to see what we can find if something should happen. But as we mentioned, if you are in that area, you should be in your safe shelter right now, and make sure you are, again, safe as that storm continues to move through. The line itself, moving through Winneshiek County, it will move into Allamakee County, where we do have in Winneshiek and northern areas of Fayette County a flash flood warning in effect for some flash flooding that's ongoing. We also have northern areas of Allamakee, much of Winneshiek County still under a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30 for 70+ mile-an-hour winds. As we head farther south, of course, that tornado warning is in effect for areas of Benton and Buchanan County. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for portions of all of Dubuque County, various times. The one in the western part of the area moving out, the one moving up from Bernard, that in effect until 7:15. And then farther off across Delaware County, northern areas of Lynn County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 7 o'clock tonight. The Tipton area and Cedar County still continue to see that severe thunderstorm warning as well. That's down toward Muscatine County. That is just issued until 7:30, 60 mile-an-hour winds, as we have a cell moving out of Muscatine County, heading towards Cedar County that could contain some very high winds, and again, that potential is there for some large hail. Williamsburg, not in a warning. So far, Johnson County, just a far thin sliver of Johnson County down toward the south, just off near the Lone Tree area. You are under that severe thunderstorm warning. As we head back toward Marengo, Millersburg, Victor, as we move farther north toward Blairstown, that's where we have a severe thunderstorm warning that also continues, that until 7 o'clock. And then the 7:15 warning continues for Shellsburg, Center Point, over toward Central City, Coggan, and Manchester. That will continue as well. Again, what we're watching right now very carefully is that tornado warning that was issued for areas of Benton and Buchanan County, moving off toward the east-northeast. As we take a look at that system continuing to move through the area, the potential will be there for some very strong winds as that system moves through, certainly. We also see that potential for the rotation in that storm very quickly, getting up to 70 miles an hour. So be careful as that storm moves through. This can and has caused damage in portions of eastern Iowa already today.
Let's take a look at Max 2 in the big box. Let's keep Vinton down there in the little box. Seeing those winds certainly surging out from this storm, as well as the potential rotation as Joe is describing. You can see the storm's about to enter the Vinton area, very close to it. The rotation still evident, not particularly tight in any one given location, but there are a couple of areas that stand out to me at the very least. One close to Mount Auburn. I would also be wary of this area down toward Vinton as well as a potential area of rotation. In both areas, certainly be in shelter as these storms move through. Mount Auburn, the strongest winds at the very least, about to move in very, very soon. This all tracks to the northeast at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. And that provides that warning through about 7 o'clock, so only about 20 minutes. And remember, that takes it through a broad portion of Buchanan County as well. We'll actually pull back here and show you that it extends all the way up to the Independence area this warning and the potential for that tornadic development. Starting to see some rain on our Vinton City Cam in the lower right-hand side of your screen as these storms track through. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the winds pick up there too in the very, very near future. That's all within this larger severe thunderstorm warning, which continues for the main line of storms that extends all the way eastward to Manchester. And actually, the National Weather Service has updated that as well. It's going to be a little tough to pick out here due to the tornado warning also ongoing, but we'll actually put on the regular radar view to show you this general line of storms that's passing through. Now tracking to the east. It does, outside of that tornado warning, this big box, and I'll actually highlight it to give you some idea of the area that we're talking about from Van Horn down toward, oh, excuse me, you'll have to bear with me here. There we go. We'll move that warning. So that warning includes northwestern Lynn County, northern Benton County, as well as pretty much all of Buchanan County and western Delaware County. They've changed that to the risk of 80-mile-per-hour winds based on the latest information they have. And so that's why an extra highlight of that potential, those storms moving to the northeast quickly at 65 miles per hour. Any of those storms could produce potentially destructive winds based on those speeds. New warning for portions of Winneshiek, as well as Al-McKee and Clayton counties, tracking to the northeast. Some storms passing through that area too. This goes until 7:45. 70-mile-per-hour winds are the threats, and we've seen that 70 to 80-mile-per-hour range with all these warnings now, at least in the last little while. Meteorologist Jan Reichert joining us.
Yeah, some of those storms seem to kind of almost be weakening for a little brief moment, but we are seeing that kind of recycling, as we would say. So those storms regaining that strength yet again. So that 70, that 80-mile-per-hour tag, as we've been seeing on some of those storms coming back into play for us here. A lot of folks saying, hey, we haven't seen anything yet. Are we in the clear? Probably not. If you haven't seen anything, it's probably still on the way toward you, and that line continues to march across eastern Iowa here. So again, even especially there on the easternmost fringe, the Dubuque area, that second main line is still to come. So once that big line that we've kind of been talking about mainly here through all of eastern Iowa, once that passes through, then you should be a little bit more so in the clear. So that'll be this kind of line here. Once that passes through.
Excuse me, sorry,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
switch
Sorry,
to Max 1.
Max 1, that'd be great. Yes.
Thank you, folks.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
So once that line right there passes through from Decorah down through Fayette, just to the west of Cedar Rapids at this point and the east of Waterloo, once that one passes through, then you're probably going to be in the clear. But all the activity out ahead of that, still plenty more activity to come here from this line through Dubuque and down towards Washington. Additional activity to come back behind that. So not in the clear with that one here just yet.
The good news is that that tornado warning does continue for portions of Benton and Buchanan counties, but no change in terms of the information that we have. Still seeing a radar indicated area of rotation at the leading edge of this storm. If we go to Max 2 again, show you that. It's this area near Brandon in particular. That is where we see that rotation in particular right along the Interstate 380 corridor at this point. That warning continues as noted until 7 o'clock. So about 15 more minutes and it's quickly moving to the northeast. Again, no reports of tornadoes, which is good news. Our Vinton City Cam view looking off the screen here. Well, there it is now. Still very windy, but in terms of, you can see the trees are blowing pretty good there with those storms moving through. But the heaviest part actually is just about north of Vinton, the Mount Auburn area, getting very heavy rain, probably a little bit of small hail at the very least. But again, the continued good news is that while this storm has the potential to produce rotation that could develop into a tornado, it's not completely wrapping up. We're not seeing that very clear and evident area of rotation, which is what we'd like to see. Other areas here in eastern Iowa that are producing quite a bit of rainfall include up toward the Dubuque area. We'll actually take a look at the last couple hours of precipitation. And this is, remember, on top of everything that we received over the last several hours. So we're talking adding on top of what was multiple inches of rain in Tama and Marshall counties earlier. That's another 1 to 2 inches of rain as these storms move through. No flash flood warnings for this particular area. There are ongoing aerial flood warnings, they call them. So for broader areas that they've seen those rural flooding, different county roads have still been affected by water over them. Creeks and streams are obviously very swollen at this point. We've seen rises on area rivers too. Not a big outburst of new flood warnings for rivers, but we've seen those come toward bankful in some cases based on the rain we've seen over the past day or two.
Something to continue to watch. Did you have the upgrade for the Dubuque warning now up to 80 miles an hour? They had a 77 mile an hour gust at the Dubuque Regional Airport. So they have upgraded that warning as it moves through the eastern portion of Dubuque County right now to 80 mile an hour winds possible. So keep that in mind, and those of you who are watching us in southern Grant County, that's the case as well. And let's keep full screen on the Max 1 and Max 2 for the present time. Hannah's efforting to get some video in on Max 3 for us right now that we want to see as well. We'll let you know when Max 3 is available once again. But again, that strong winds, and we've seen that in spots, certainly some damage in spots. Did have a little more information from the Butler County damage, reports of a roof off, reports also of some trees down in portions of Butler County, and of course the TB9 news team is working hard to gather that information for us, and we're going to have a complete wrap-up, of course, on the TB9 News at 10 o'clock, because this will be over by that time. We've been watching and continuing to track the storms. We have them moving through the Winnebago County area right now, through Blackhawk County, just beginning to move through areas of, or Benton and western areas of Lynn County, still tracking through areas of Iowa County, farther south, more scattered and not as potent storms as we head down toward Keokuk County right now, Washington, just off to your east. That's where we're seeing some of the stronger storms as they continue to move through. And we're going to follow this as it does move across eastern Iowa due to the damage that we've seen from areas. And I wonder if we can, and you may have it ready, Tristan. If you don't, you can get that ready. You said you had some aerials from the Greenfield area that we could take a look at. So let's kind of look at these together and just kind of see what we're seeing. Again, this gives you the real indication of what it's like in Greenfield. We give you some ground shots, and you saw a few of those homes damaged, but wow, just that path.
Yep, you can see it. And you can see the parts that don't get that affected. That's
some of the most amazing things about when a tornado goes through. The building off to the left, not even hardly touched. Maybe there's some damage that we just can't see from here, but the building just off to the right, totally gone. And then you head into the neighborhoods.
I think it's the hardest to comprehend when you see tornado damage. I think for folks that are affected too, because they, it's human nature to wonder why us. And a lot of folks there have a lot of work to do. And like Joe said, we'll in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
You can just see it stretching there into the distance too, just flat in the middle.
Unfortunately, that is kind of the side effect of a quick moving storm with a tornado, is that the path can extend over several miles, unfortunately, as a result. Yeah, those pictures are not what we wanted to see today.
So that, again, giving you the full indication of what has happened over in Greenfield as of this moment, the hardest hit from any of the storms that have moved across eastern Iowa. So again, just devastation, total devastation you can see in the path of that tornado as it moved through. There you go, a new severe thunderstorm warning and a flash flood warning has been issued. Let's take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning first. This will take us just out of our viewing area, across areas, or just far, I guess it is a far southern Dubuque County, so it's included. I'll show you the little thin sliver that's included in Dubuque County, and it's down well to the south, does near the Portage area, the Riverview School area. That's the area included in that warning. That, again, goes until probably about 7:15, 7:30, I would guess, 7:30 for some 70 mile an hour winds. Then we get farther into Dubuque County, 80 mile an hour winds moving out of Dubuque County as well. We do have an additional tornado warning that has just been issued. This is a new warning, so those of you, if you're hearing me in Allamakee, Clayton, Fayette, and Winnebago counties, you want to take shelter now. We do have this tornado warning that you can see, which extends from Claremont over to Castalia, up to Frankville, including Postville, to the northwest of the city of Monona, in effect until 7:15. Radar indicated rotation as this storm moves in, and Corey will be taking a look at that in just a second. As that storm moves in at about 60 miles per hour, producing that potential tornado right now, and that's why that tornado warning has been issued. So for those of you, again, in southwestern areas of Alameda County, the far northwestern corner of Clayton County, just the far northeastern corner of Fayette County, and the far southeastern portion of Fayette County, or actually Alameda County, Winnebago County, sorry. That's the area right now that is under the tornado warning. Includes the intersection of Highway 51 and 52 as it moves through Postville. It does include the city of Postville, includes the city of Claremont, right along Yellow River Road, Valley Drive. If you know of these areas, you should be in safe shelter. Claremont, you're included in that as well. So again, that is a tornado warning that continues until 7:15.
And we'll look at Max 2 to sort of dive into the details of this storm. It's this area near Postville where there is some signature on the radar. Again, radar is located to the northeast of this warning up toward the La Crosse, Wisconsin area. It's these reds and greens coming together where there is enough rotation that the National Weather Service decided to go ahead with that warning. So as Joe has been saying, the folks in the Postville area in particular at this immediate moment need to be in shelter as these storms move through. Even outside of these areas of rotation, which is right on the leading edge of that storm. Behind it, still at the elevated portions of the atmosphere, but we're seeing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds sampled by radar from a distance, of course. As we've said, there are limitations with that the farther away you get from the radar. But it does certainly appear that that possibility of some rotation is there. We'll put on debris tracker just to be sure that we're not seeing something there. No evident sign of anything from that view using that look. And looks like we do at least have that rotation still looking as a possibility in that area. I understand we've got a new warning, Joe.
We have a new warning. We do want to just quickly storm track that tornadic rotation Corey talked about. Postville about 6:52, Roberts Park at 6:52, Rossville at about 7:05. An additional severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued. This is going to include the Cedar Rapids area. Let's go ahead and put that in right here. And it is going to be in effect for portions of Lynn County, including Cedar Rapids, as well as extreme southern areas of Delaware County, also back toward areas of Benton County from that cell that's moving out of the Van Horn area and heading off to the east. In the Norway area, there have been reports of 80-mile-an-hour winds, 80-mile-an-hour winds with this cell. So that's why that warning has been issued. We're going to get the front edge of the storm, track it off toward the north and slightly east, at about 60 as they've continued that movement. And you can see that that storm itself continues to move off toward the northeast, ending up in Homestead. Well, let's see. Let's take that off. Let's clear things off. And once again, let's storm track that cell off toward the east and northeast. And this will take it near the Cedar Rapids area through Lynn Junction at 7:03, Hiawatha at 7:06, Robbins at 7:07, Alburnett at 7:11, Rogers at 7:14, Central City 7:19, and Ryan about 7:24. We have had reports of 80-mile-an-hour winds from this storm as it passed through the Norway area. So again, this is now moving through portions of Lynn County, as well as southern areas of Delaware County and Benton County. Those are the main counties involved right now in this severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. That's in effect until 7:30. In addition, near the Independence area, Buchanan County area, we have a tornado warning that has been issued as well. That is again extending and does include the city of Independence. It's just off and not in Lynn County itself, so off to the northwest of Walker. Includes Quasqueton and Winthrop as well. This would be an area that you also, in this area, you want to be in your safe shelter. That warning goes until 7 o'clock.
Take a look at Max 2, and we'll highlight that area of rotation, which, as Joe astutely pointed out, is very close to Independence, and as well pointing toward the area near Winthrop here in the next little while. We're also hearing, just for folks in the Cedar Rapids metro area, Lynn County appears to be sounding their sirens based on that 70-mile-per-hour wind. So if you're hearing that, no tornado warning for Lynn County at this point, but some very strong storms on the way coming in over the next little while. You can see that latest latest radar scan has taken that rotation and put it a little bit closer to the Winthrop area as it tracks to the northeast. See how quick it's moving. We're actually going to pan a little bit farther south. Bear with me as we get closer to these storms that are entering western Lynn County and eastern Benton County. That's another spot where we're seeing some wind speeds in the radar data that we have in the range of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and that's why we're seeing that warning and those sirens blowing as a result of that threat. We're going to effort to get some of our city cam views of the Cedar Rapids Metro up if we can to take a closer look at this storm as it moves in.
New severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. That's just off far southeastern Cedar County. It'll also include Clinton and Scott counties farther off and just out of our viewing area. As we take the polygons off, or the warnings off right now, main line of storms, Decorah to Fayette, just near the Independence area, just near the Vinton area, and points off toward the east. If you are west of that line, things are clear or clearing, and you will certainly see quieter weather conditions as we move through the remainder of the evening hours. If you are along that or east of that line, you still have to get these storms through, and they all have the potential to produce severe weather, as we have been seeing as these storms have moved across eastern Iowa. Numerous warnings along that line, including 2 areas of tornado warnings, that one in Benton and Buchanan County until 7 o'clock. Radar indicated rotation again, potential that there could be a storm with some strong winds. We're also watching a storm moving through the area in the Cedar Rapids area toward areas of Atkins right now, over toward Shellsburg and Robbins. That's an area that could be receiving some hail and some very powerful winds. As that storm moved through Norway, it did produce some 80-mile-per-hour winds, so that certainly is possible in the Atkins area right now. As we head farther up toward the Robbins area as well, we'll continue to watch that cell very carefully as it nears Highway 100, heading up toward Alburnett and Center Point. And then farther off toward the north, we do have the tornado warning in effect in the Vinton area, now moving north. The northern part of that storm now beginning to move out of the tornado warned area, but into a severe thunderstorm warning. That continues until 7:15. And farther to the north, we do notice in Alameda County still continuing from border to the south along Postville and Highway 51. That tornado warning does continue until 7:15 as well in Alameda County for some radar indicated rotation in that storm. Again, giving you that wide view, you do notice the scattered showers and storms continuing to push across the area. Slowly, they are moving out. As far as the tornado watch that we are looking at right now, the tornado watch has been trimmed back in some areas, but still continues for much of the TV9 viewing area. I'd say particularly Decorah, Fayette, through Vinton, down toward areas of Sigourney and east. That tornado watch is in effect right now until 9 o'clock. All threats possible, but we certainly have seen the damaging wind as well as the tornadic threat most recently as these storms have been pushing across portions of eastern Iowa. Here again, a view of pinpoint Doppler radar. We've been watching it carefully through the afternoon. You're seeing the Vinton City Cam as well, the Independence City Cam in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. That storm is moving through the Independence area right now as we pinpoint with some heavier areas of rain at times. When it first moved in, the visibilities certainly were down. Farther off toward the west, we're looking at a strong cell moving through the Atkins area right now. It looks like it will move just near the Robbins area, probably very close to Shellsburg as well as that movement continues off toward the east and northeast. And this again has 80-mile-an-hour winds possible. Farther back toward Dubuque County, the cell that produced the 80-mile-an-hour winds at the Dubuque Municipal Airport now has moved off into areas of Wisconsin. And then farther south, as we look at Johnson County right now, there's a cell unwarned that's moving from Riverside up toward Iowa City. Potential for some strong winds and certainly some small hail in that storm. We'll see how it evolves as it moves into an area, again, that's been virtually untapped so far this afternoon.
Lots of different reports coming in here. Fairfax over 50-mile-per-hour winds as well as torrential rainfall. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some higher reports coming in out of that area here as the strongest of those winds continue to move through. Obviously, you heard as Corey mentioned, Lynn County and Cedar Rapids sounding sirens. Winthrop also sounding the outdoor warning sirens for those 70-mile-per-hour winds. Seeing reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds or higher in West Liberty and Atalissa to the east, as well as in Grant County, Wisconsin. Again, that's kind of that initial line moving through. Also some debris along Highway 6 near Atalissa, some hail over 1.5 inches near the Tipton area, and several additional areas with reporting power outages, or at least some customers without power. So a lot of impacts from these storms as they're moving through due to those high winds. A reminder that when these are moving through, treat them as you would any severe warning and try to get to that lowest possible level, get to that interior most room away from those windows, as we have had some instances where windows have been blown out or there's debris flying around that has broken those windows. So things like that, always take all of those severe weather precautions into account when you're getting to that safe, sturdy shelter.
If we could put Max 2 in the big box, we'll leave Cedar Rapids downtown in the small box. You can see the leading edge of those stronger winds moving to the downtown area. Just a quick storm track on the strongest winds with this storm. Lynn Junction and Tauntville, it's just about there. Cedar Rapids as well. The west side of the city already experiencing some of those stronger wind gusts, no doubt. Marion in just a few minutes, in Central City closer to 713 as this area of strongest wind gusts tracks through. Keeping a close eye on an area along the west side of Cedar Rapids, which we will have a good eye on our city cam with a little bit of repositioning for the potential of just a very hint of rotation. Not seeing anything on our city cam though that looks particularly suspicious in that area, which is good, but that is moving through the northwest side of the city, northeast side as well, just near the Highway 100 area on the west side of the metro as these storms pass through. We'll put this loop in motion to show you where some of those brightest greens are moving along the western fringe of Lynn County. That's where some of the strongest winds with this storm will be involved. It does look like we, Jan, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. Did you have the details from Buchanan County about
No,
reports?
I didn't.
Buchanan County emergency managers report at least some damage in the Fairbank area and a roof off in Independence as described by them. We don't have any more specific details, but just more evidence of the strong winds that are moving through in various areas.
And we continue to watch pinpoint Doppler radar as these cells continue to move through areas that have not been warned on previously, have not seen. Let's just go full screen on our Cedar Rapids City Cam right now and just kind of take a look at what we're seeing on that picture. It certainly looks very, very ominous as we look off in the distance. I wonder if we would get something if we switched over to our Mount Mercy University camera.
Yeah.
We could do that and kind of take a look at this storm itself as it moves through.
I'll take care of it here on Max 2. We'll pull that up in just a second.
Or it is switching right now. So
Oh, there we go. Okay. This is the view. Let me zoom back as far as I can. This is the shelf cloud coming in. We'll kind of go slow here. You can see that storm coming into the Cedar Rapids area. Similar sort of view. Strong winds will be associated with this as it does. Definitely looks like a shelf cloud. No evident signs of rotation, but dark skies for sure. Heavy rain likely as the storm passes by as well. Very ominous look. So only a few minutes before winds start to pick up in most of the city of Cedar Rapids. So if you're not indoors already, certainly get there and stay away from those windows.
Looks like we're already getting 50-mile-per-hour reports from the Cedar Rapids area, from northwest Cedar Rapids.
Okay. Yeah, that would track based on what we can see from here.
So again, as we take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, and we can go ahead and double box again if you want to. That's a great shot when we do that. You can see that we do have areas, two lines really of some storms. One from Dubuque all the way back down toward Washington, and then a second line, and this is where the cold front is located, from Decorah all the way back toward Cedar Rapids. There's a little development farther off toward the west. I would not expect those storms to turn severe that are scattered. You see near the Ames and Fort Dodge area. That just again kind of moving through the area. What we're watching is that main line that stretches from Alameda County south all the way through now into just northern areas of Johnson County in particular as some cells move through. Let's go ahead and take a look at the warnings that are in effect. And there are numerous warnings. Right now, no tornado warnings in effect, but there certainly are some strong winds, and we've seen that now confirmed in some areas. That tornado warning is off in areas of Wisconsin. As we can take a look, you'll see once again areas near Manchester, areas near Cedar Rapids, heading toward Monticello. Johnson County not officially under a warning right now, but again, a pretty little intense cell moving through Johnson County just south of Highway 6 or just crossing Highway 6 at the present time. As Corey was pointing out in the Cedar Rapids area, of strong winds certainly, some heavy rains as well moving through up toward the Walker area. That stretches up toward Independence as that storm has lost a little bit of energy, it looks like, as it's moved through, but still could be producing some very, very high winds. Farther north, with the tornado warning earlier for Allen McKee County is now canceled, but we do still continue a severe thunderstorm warning in that area. In the Monona area, right along Highway 18, that's one spot, could be seeing some strong winds as well as that potential for some hail as well. And that's true along this entire line as it moves off toward the east and south. We continue to watch all that activity continue to push across the area, and you'll see once again those showers and storms in the area moving off toward the east-northeast, continuing that 55 to 60 mile per hour movement as they do move off toward the east and northeast.
We're going to pull up Hiawatha in the small box. We could actually probably take it full screen here. Our CityCam view in Max 3 in just a moment as meteorologist Hannah Messier efforts to bring that here to our picture. And some very intense winds moving through the Hiawatha area for sure. You can see extremely strong winds moving through right now. Extremely heavy rain too, blinding rain. So if you're considering going out, certainly don't, based on the way things look in the Cedar Rapids area. Certainly on the Hiawatha, Robbins area in particular, where we've seen those strongest winds based on our radar data passing through.
Yeah, that's looking over at Guthridge Park in Hiawatha. As you look to the west, normally you can see farther in the distance. See one car moving. Again, as Corey said, would not be advised to be out on this as it pushes through the area. Some heavier rains, some very greatly reduced visibilities, and again, some very powerful winds moving through as well. Continue to watch that carefully as that system moves through. It is moving through the western portion of Lynn County right now, the Hiawatha area. We'll go ahead and pinpoint that and kind of give you some. Again, there are numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect as these storms move through. Assume you are under a severe thunderstorm warning in the Hiawatha Robbins area right now. Heading toward Alburnett. That's some of the area that's receiving some of the areas of highest reflectivity, which would indicate some of the highest winds. That activity moves off toward the east-northeast. We look farther toward the city of Cedar Rapids itself. Downtown Cedar Rapids itself, not seeing the strongest, but certainly seeing some gusty winds in the area. And farther off down toward Iowa City, also seeing a strong cell, not warned on at this time. Some strong cells continue to move through Cedar County from West Liberty to the south into areas near Tipton. Dubuque County right now not seeing a lot, but there's more coming your way as this entire line has to still pass through. Northeast Iowa certainly seeing some. It looks like Winnebago County, the storms have moved out, but areas of Clayton and Allen McKee as well as Fayette County still seeing some of those strong cells. And then we said farther back off to the west, there's some scattered activity, but the real severe threat comes again from that line that stretches from near the Vinton area up toward Decorah and points off to the east. That's the cold front that's moving through, sparking all the severe weather that we're seeing right now across portions of eastern Iowa with confirmed 80-mile-an-hour winds in Lynn County, confirmed damage in Butler as well as areas of Floyd County, and we'll continue to watch that as we move these storms through the area. They'll be heading into southern areas of Delaware County before long as well, so keep that in mind. We'll pop the warnings back on. And there you go. You see along that line numerous warnings. Just assume you are under a severe thunderstorm warning as those cells move through. Of particular interest right now, of course, the Lynn County areas of Delaware as well as Buchanan County, and then farther to the north, thin sliver, although it's just moving through Clayton County and much of Allen McKee County as well under that severe thunderstorm warning.
Take a look at the velocity view to give you an idea of where the strongest winds are headed through that Lynn County area in particular. We'll put a loop on this for just a second. You can see those bright green colors that's stretching in a corridor in the western side of the metro area of Cedar Rapids and Marion and tracking to the northeast. We'll pause it here again. So it's this area that's going to continue off to the northeast, stretching from near Alburnett and probably in a pretty narrow corridor through northeastern Lynn County into southwestern Delaware County. You can see still seeing some gusty winds on our Hiawatha CityCam, but the heavier rains at least have let up a little bit, which is helping with visibility, but still seeing those gusts. It'll be interesting to see if we get any sort of damage reports out of there. Some minor indication as we pinpoint just a little bit closer. Again, we've been watching for those quick areas of any sort of rotation that may develop. We may see a little bit of an indication of one near the Alburnett area, near Lafayette as well, in areas of rural Linn County. It's pretty weak at this point, but certainly we don't want to be caught off guard. So that's not a tornado warning for this area, but certainly an area we'll be keeping a close eye on because of how quick everything is moving in the atmosphere today.
I do have a report of some pea-sized hail as that storm was moving near the Palo area, along with some heavier rains as it pushed through the area. Not uncommon in any of these storms. Have had a lot of large hail reports, which is good news. We want to continue to see that. Hiawatha City Cam, as you can see, improving right now as that system moves through. We continue to watch up toward Prairie du Chien, which is under a warning that will continue until about 7:30. Also areas near Independence, still under that warning, although it looks like the main cell has moved to your north. We are going to watch that second cell. It's moving through Linn County, push through. And did have a report from Coralville of some potential hail as well from that system, unwarned right now. But certainly as you head toward the Solon area, and I wonder if we can pop up the Solon City Cam pointed off toward the south and just take a look at that storm as it moves through the Solon area as well. That's the cell that moved through the Iowa City and Johnson County area, likely producing some heavy rain, and again, that potential for hail and some gusty winds. And just as we speak, we do get a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for that area. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what it does include. Portions of Iowa City, but it's really just off to your north and east, and we're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning that does continue now until 8 p.m. Wind or storms moving at 55, 60 mile an hour wind gusts, and 1-inch hail are possible as that storm moves through. So it's a warning that stretches from the far northwestern areas of Johnson County all the way back through just far cuts into areas of Cedar County, most of Jones County included in that, and southern Linn County. So that would, again, near Highway 1, as we can see, as it moves across areas, or Highway 30 as it heads toward Lisbon, up toward Martell, Anamosa, Monticello. This is kind of your second round, Wyoming as well. That storm moving out of the North Liberty, moving into the Solon area right now, and we've got the Solon City Cam up there. We'll see what it looks like as it passes through in the next several minutes.
Kind of panning around on a couple of our city cams, taking a look to see what we can see. And fortunately, at least in the view of our city cams, most of them, nothing too significant, which is the good news in terms of damage being evident. But we certainly are still getting those reports. Got a note from the newsroom about the law enforcement officials in the Greenfield area where we've talked about the tornado damage there. I don't know if we can pull up any of that video that we've had from the past, but that area, they're strongly encouraging people to stay away, of course.
Absolutely.
That's outside the TV9 viewing area. If you were here and were thinking about going there to even try to help out, at this point it's probably not much of a help. There will be plenty of opportunity for volunteers to contribute and help clean up and help get people back on their feet. This video from CNN of this aerial footage of the damage in Greenfield. So yeah, just those areas that have damage, and we've had some reports in eastern Iowa, fortunately nothing as intense as what we've seen from some of those storms in central Iowa, but still just stay away from those areas. Don't go looking, don't go trying to get those videos. We've got other folks that are on top of that at this point.
In fact, we have a crew that's on the way to Greenfield right now, and they said police obviously are stopping anyone from coming in, and this is why. You can see that, and that's what you don't need, people coming in trying to see damage or look at damage. There are plenty of videos that will be out there, and we'll be thinking and looking at this damage for some weeks to come, with Greenfield again being very, very hard hit with tornadic damage as you're looking at that path of the storm as it moved through. Thankfully, in eastern Iowa so far, we have not had damage to that extent. Another severe thunderstorm warning. This covers the rest of Cedar County with the area of thunderstorms moving out of Durant, heading into the Clarence and Tipton area. It's one box inside of another box. So again, if you are seeing these thunderstorms move through, you are absolutely seeing the potential for severe weather. And with that potential for severe weather, you are seeing the potential for 70 to 80 mile an hour winds right now. That has been confirmed. And with that, you are also seeing the potential for some rotation in the storms. As of right now, no tornado warnings in effect, but something that the Weather Service continues to monitor. And if that would be the case, they would certainly do that for you. How are we doing for power outages, Jan? Have you had a chance to take a look lately to see what we've been seeing?
We haven't had a whole lot of updates since we last talked. About 3,800 without power in Tama, 6,000 without power in Black Hawk County, Fayette County, 820 at last check, 1,400 in Bremer County, about 700 in Chickasaw County, about 1,500 for Poweshiek, and then some smaller numbers or smaller percentages for a few other counties in eastern Iowa. Cedar County, about 200, about 300 in Mahaska County. So we are seeing some, but haven't had, I don't think, a recent update here that's going to add on too much different from where we last left off.
Hopefully we keep that trend going. That'd be the best possible outcome. Again, as we've said, lack of damage, lack of reports is sometimes a really, really good thing to hear.
Nope, it absolutely is. And the Solon City Cam right now also continuing to show that cell that's moving through. Some gustier winds with that cell. You can see now the visibility has been reduced as that cell has moved in. With some heavier rains, and much like we saw in Hiawatha, it continues to move out, and the visibility is starting to improve on the backside of that system as it moves through. And we still have 716 right now. I would guess by probably close to 8 o'clock or so, much of this should be through the TV9 viewing area based on current movement at 60 miles an hour, and the storms have been moving anywhere from 55 to 60 since we joined you earlier. In fact, since we started following the line that was developing on the Iowa-Nebraska border and continues to move off toward the east. Now, as you see, numerous warnings being issued well ahead of the system on that first line in areas of Wisconsin as well as Illinois. Scattered areas of thunderstorms still with us, of course, as we look back farther off toward the west with that line and the cold front itself moving just through Allamakee County right now. It looks like northern Allamakee County, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect as that system moves out. That still stretches through northern areas of Clayton County. And then for the Manchester area, it looks like it's probably just to your south, but we'll watch because that cell that did produce some 80 mile an hour winds moving through Lynn County right now continues to move off toward the east and northeast through the Coggin area, right along 13. It'll head up toward Manchester as well. So an additional warning certainly could be issued as that storm continues its movement off to the east-northeast.
We believe we have a picture rather, into our newsroom from our reporter, Connor Hendricks, who's trying to get to the Greenfield area, obviously having a little trouble accessing the city, as we discussed earlier, for good reason, as they're trying to do recovery at this point, and potential rescue efforts in some cases probably. But it's just a view of the storm parting from that area. Sunset, some rainbow in the area, and it's one of those nicer scenes. If we take Max 2, we can show the reports that we've had so far across eastern Iowa have been relatively limited. You can see over the past 3 hours, the most numerous reports were towards central Iowa, around Interstate 35. Here in eastern Iowa, primarily wind reports, which we expected. That was kind of the main threat today, with tornadoes as a secondary threat. And we see those passing through the area without much incident, at least as reported now. Now, obviously, sometimes it takes time for this information to get into the National Weather Service and get relayed to us, and so we're not totally out of the woods yet in terms of seeing additional reports to add on to that, but certainly something that we're keeping a close eye on. We'll take a look at our Cedar Rapids City Cam as well, just kind of give you an overview of the storms as they begin to exit the Cedar Rapids metro area. Temperatures around the area, of course, cooling as the rain falls, and winds still generally staying out of the south. We'll get rid of those current conditions and just kind of give you a view of what's taking place in the Cedar Rapids area. Just looks like sort of the backside of this system is passing by now. Nothing too concerning there in terms of what we're seeing. There are low-hanging clouds, which you can see pretty evidently on your picture here, I'll just sort of highlight, emphasize this area here where these clouds extend down from the cloud base. However, that's not indicative of a tornado. That's actually just sort of some low clouds rising up into it, no signs of rotation. We'll pan a little bit slowly, excuse me, bear with me here. I'm not trying to give people any sort of motion sickness, so we're trying to go slow. Much heavier rain off to the north. Looking from the Mount Mercy University campus. That's where that severe storm continues, tracking to the northeast. But in terms of intense storm activity in the Cedar Rapids metro area, that does appear to be at least somewhat winding down. Now, the northern corners of the city up toward Hiawatha still seeing some heavier rain. Robbins, too, getting involved in that. But for the core of the metro, downtown and points to the south, things looking up at this point.
And that's what we like to see. We still have numerous warnings in effect. One still continues for Cedar Rapids and points to the north. That would be a severe thunderstorm warning that it continues for a small section of Jones, as well as southern areas of Delaware, the far southeastern corner of Buchanan County until 7:30. That is a severe thunderstorm warning for about the next 10 minutes. 70-mile-an-hour winds and 1-inch hail are certainly possible. And as we take a look, we'll move the map to that warning that is in effect for areas now for, well, not Jackson and Jones, that's farther to the north. We want to take a look at the storm themselves that is moving from Solon up into southern Johnson County, headed into areas, as we can see, of Jones County. That's in effect until 7:30 as well. That will continue to be in effect as that storm moves through the Solon area. Didn't look like it produced a lot in the way of strong winds. Certainly some heavy rain, some hail possible in that system as well. Farther south, Johnson County, scattered areas of showers and storms still possible, in Washington County as well, but the main line still has to push through with the cold front, but it doesn't look like it's producing much on its southern extent. Certainly getting much stronger as it heads across areas of southwestern areas of Wisconsin once again. And you notice that extends across areas of Clayton and Allamakee County, also continues under severe thunderstorm warnings, and those are in effect until 7:45 as that system moves through with the 70-mile-an-hour winds. So generally 70 to 80-mile-an-hour winds possible across portions of eastern Iowa. Still, as those cells continue to push through, still have a couple of lines of counties to get that cold front through before we are completely clear of any severe weather.
Let's go ahead and put up the big box of the radar. We can keep that picture in the big box, small box of our Mount Vernon City Cam on Max 3, where storms are moving through that area. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for them. A couple of reports from around eastern Iowa. Latest information, 61-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail in Alburnett. That came from Linn County Emergency Managers. That's why that storm continues with that warning, as Joe is describing. We've got toward Clinton County, which is on the very eastern edge of the state. More reports of trees down and damage to buildings in the Lost Nation area. More power outages out that way from emergency managers. National Weather Service seeing some indication that these storms are starting to pick up a little bit in terms of the wind speeds they're producing. We've seen that based on some of the data that we've had in terms of what they could produce within the next hour or so as they really start to move out of the TV9 viewing area. Just goes to show, though, that we're not out of the woods. We're getting closer to sunset, still another hour or so to go, but still plenty of energy for these storms to work with as they track to the northeast. If we could put Max 2 into the big box, and we'll take a look at some of the velocity data. We're going to pop over from our Cedar Rapids City Cam, which still shows an ominous picture, but overall one of the storms exiting the Cedar Rapids area. And we'll pull back here to a wide view and show where some of the strongest storms are taking place here in east central Iowa. Again, Linn County, Jones, Delaware, even as it heads into Dubuque, those storms will eventually get to Dubuque County here within the next little while. Jackson County also seeing some of those strong winds potentially. Looks like we have a new warning, Joe.
It was off across areas
Okay.
of Wisconsin, so
Very
popping
good.
up there, so nothing to worry about
All
there.
right, sounds good. As those storms track to the northeast, expect those winds to continue to move in. We'll just take a couple of different looks here at the velocity to make sure we're not missing something. No signs of rotation again, which is great news here. In fact, no tornado warnings in effect, and haven't been for a little while, but just due to the intensity of the winds, we just want to keep you informed of what's passing through on this kind of exceptional day. We talked about this morning on TV9 Morning News. We have severe weather days frequently, right? We have storms move through, but today is one of those days where it's a little bit higher grade.
Right.
You know, it's just the ingredients were stronger, the potential was higher. Fortunately, in eastern Iowa, we haven't seen that potential fully realized
Which is a good thing.
so far, as
Right.
far as we know, but we did in central Iowa, and that was why we were giving you that first alert for days, why we were treating this with the respect that it deserved, frankly,
Oh, yeah.
because
And-
that potential was there.
And I would rather go through an entire event and get absolutely no damage or have it not be as strong in spots than get any damage, especially like what we're seeing in Greenfield. So we can be thankful for that.
Yes.
I do understand Butler County, which we've talked about earlier, having some damage. I have a few pictures to take a look at from Butler County. This is a tree that fell on a home, as we can see. Did some damage there, certainly. That looks like the tree kind of split a little bit. Some roof damage again from that tree. Tristan, you know this is from the same area, same home? West of Green, near Keystone Avenue. And again, you can see that tree trunk breaking there as that tree fell in that home, which can happen again with the winds. We had some very, very powerful winds, and as Corey mentioned, up to about 80 miles an hour confirmed in spots. The potential was there for even higher winds, but again, not a bad thing to see winds stay a little bit less, but we know we still have power outages, which Jan has been updating us on. We've had winds that have gusted up to 60 and 70 miles an hour across areas of Lynn County. Have a report now 7 miles north of County Home Road in Lynn County, some 70-mile-an-hour winds. And hearing we have some spots that are getting some areas of tree damage, and this could be what we see too in spots as we go out and kind of assess things as those storms pass through. As you take a look at pinpoint Doppler radar right now, you notice a couple of areas that we're going to watch. One is moving through Lynn County, heading into Delaware County right now. As it moved through the Cedar Rapids area, certainly looked very ominous. Did have some reports of some small or pea-sized hail as that storm moved through the area. Still under that severe thunderstorm warning, and that will continue until 7:30 for about the next 4 minutes or so. That is getting into southern Delaware County right now, so we're getting to the Manchester area. Looks like the strongest part of the cell may pass just to the south of Manchester. That, though, puts it in line for areas near Dyersville. Then we head out of Lisbon, as Corey was showing us from the Mount Vernon and Lisbon City Cam area, right along Highway 1 heading toward Anamosa. We have another strong cell, potentially some hail in that cell, some brief gusty winds, as well as some heavy areas of rain. As we look farther south, out of the TV9 viewing area, some warnings. Williamsburg, an isolated cell kind of just moving through on the backside of that system. We also are noticing some scattered areas of activity moving out of the Ames area right now, heading into Marshall County. Nothing severe by any means, but a new severe thunderstorm warning, or a continuation of a severe thunderstorm warning still for the southern portion of Delaware County. And then we look farther across northeast Iowa still for portions of Allamakee, including Waukon, as well as just south of Lansing, the Prairie du Chien area, just north of Elkader in Clayton County. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning, and of course the flood warning in effect as well, where some heavy rains have fallen in the Decorah, Kalmar area, and that goes up to Caledonia in southern areas of Minnesota.
Portions of Dubuque County, the very far southeastern corner of it, included in that updated warning. 90-mile-per-hour winds is the information from the National Weather Service as a potential. Those could cause really significant damage as they move through. You can see that it's going to be a pretty close call for the Dubuque city itself. The airport obviously is well outside the outer edge of town, but that storm moving out of Jackson County is going to provide that potential of those very strong wind gusts. It's based on data from emergency management according to the Quad Cities National Weather Service. They've seen at least some very strong winds and damage in parts of Clinton and Jackson County. So that could move into portions of Dubuque and much of Joe Davies County as well. So that is something that we're certainly, again, concerned about as these storms continue to track through the area, trying to get them through the area too. If we look at Max 2 real quick, we can show you that strongest wind again. And that's good news for the Dubuque area, is that the strongest wind likely to move generally just to the east and southeast, but right up along the area here that does include Galena toward Bellevue. This area is in line for the potential for some extremely strong winds if that 90-mile-per-hour potential really does sort of verify and get realized here. So the storm's certainly still packing a punch even at this late hour.
We can give you some good news is that the areas are being cleared of the tornado watch as this system moves through. That's what the latest is until 9 o'clock. So it does extend through Winneshiek, Fayette, down toward areas of Buchanan as well as Benton into Iowa as well as Keokuk counties farther toward the south and east. That's where we have the tornado watch that remains in effect. That's the area that could still see the strong winds and the thunderstorms that we have been tracking as that system continues to move through. And again, that isolated potential that we could still see a tornado develop as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar. Wide, looking at all of eastern Iowa, numerous warnings off toward our east right now as well. We do continue to see some strong cells in a couple of areas. One moving through areas of Delaware County right now, looks like just south of Manchester. We'll go ahead and pinpoint that area for you. And you do notice that near the Manchester area, just north of Monticello, we are going to be seeing more in the way of some of those showers and storms pushing across the area. As we look, likely with some large hail as well, or some potentially larger hail, just west of Monticello near the Anamosa area. Watch that carefully. There's the cell that Corey was watching for the potential 90-mile-an-hour winds along Highway 62 in Jackson County. As you pointed out, its movement is going to take it, it looks like, to the south of the city of Dubuque, into areas very close to, as we can see, of the Galena area as it moves across Joe Davis County. So again, a cell that continued to be watched. And you take a look at the wide view right now, and we'll pop the warnings back on as well. You notice those warnings again still continue to be issued for points off toward the east. As that system moves through farther west, that's just some scattered kind of residual showers that are developing that won't have any severe weather as they move through.
We do have that new warning now, kind of replacing or extending the one that moved through. We see it near the Manchester area, 70-mile-per-hour winds. The threat here, as Joe was mentioning, the strongest part of it's southeast of the Manchester area, and you can really see the strongest winds here again, sort of pushing through and through the back side of this toward Hopkinton, as well as near Highway 38. It's going to be headed for the Dyersville area very, very soon as these spread to the northeast very quickly. Some sign of a little bit of rotation again, mostly at the mid-levels, located here just northwest of Hopkinton. We'll zoom in, pinpoint rather, a little bit closer and looking in that direction. That's where we've seen a little bit of this coming together of the reds and greens. Again, mostly evident at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, just south of Delhi, as it crosses Highway 38. No reports of any suspicious nature to this storm other than just what we're seeing on radar, but it's something that we're going to keep an eye on. Again, just a severe thunderstorm warning at this point, but still with the potential for those very strong wind gusts. Even without a tornado, it still could cause some issues as it tracks into northwestern Dubuque County. Just this last cluster of severe storms that's going to move through. We can't rule out a shower or two behind these, but the severe weather risk really does kind of end with this. That's the good news we have there. Any updates from the power outage map? No news is good news, meteorologist Jan Ryherd.
Yeah, things have really slowed down in terms of any reports, wind reports, power outage, tree damage, just really everything kind of slowing down for us across the area. And like you just said, that's good news. We're happy to see that. Does look like from the newsroom here, just got in a report of in Fairfax, the St. Patrick's Church steeple was blown down. So that one is a new one that I'm just reading here just now. But otherwise, no, not a lot of reports. Obviously, we have had some very strong winds, and as we've noted here, it does take some time for those new reports to come in. So wouldn't be surprised if we still get some additional ones. But at last check, yeah, Tama County is still about 3,800 without power, about 8,700 in Black Hawk County, Fayette County, about 1,100 without power. So still decent amounts of power outages. Also starting to see some improvement in western Iowa from that as well.
And the crews, of course, go out immediately and try to repair those power lines as soon as they can and try to get that power on, as we know, and we thank them for doing that. If you're in an area without power, they'll be there soon. As we take a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar, scattered thunderstorms now moving across the Mississippi and far northeast Iowa. As a result, no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect across Allamakee as well as Clayton County. Farther to the south, you do see numerous warnings, basically from Delaware County through Dubuque County, back through Jones County and Cedar County right now. That's the area that we do have thunderstorms that are moving through that still have the potential to bring some very, very strong winds. Have not had, as Corey has mentioned, much rotation present in these storms, and that looks like, again, as we move that last cell through areas of Jackson into southern areas of Joe Davis County, that cell continues to move off toward the north, and we have the stronger of the cells as well moving across areas of Jones County into Delaware County and eventually into Dubuque County, and that'll move into areas of Wisconsin probably as we move through the next half hour to 45 minutes. We'll continue to follow that. As we showed you earlier, the tornado watch has been trimmed back significantly as this storm continues to move through. So the areas in yellow, which still include Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City, are officially under that tornado watch. Dubuque certainly watch the potential for some very strong winds. Warnings are in effect until 7:45 and 8 o'clock across various portions of Dubuque County. Farther to the south, we're seeing some more scattered activity, as Corey had pointed out. As that activity moves out, we're actually seeing some clearing in the skies move in as well. Here's just a live picture and take a look at our city cam in Iowa City. Again, seeing some of the clearing as we look toward the west as well as those storms continue to move away after some brief heavy rains across portions of Johnson County. And we did have reports of some larger hail in Johnson County as well as that system pushed through the area.
Some sign of a little bit of rotation maybe in the storm that's going to track into Cedar County. We can take Max 2. This warning for Cedar County is for other thunderstorms, but it's this storm near Muscatine that is tracking to the northeast. It is currently warned for 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. The rotation is mostly at the mid-levels, but sometimes that can extend farther down to the ground, and especially in an atmosphere like we have in place right now, that could easily change in a pretty big hurry. So we'll be watching this storm carefully. Right now, I would say that could it be increasing that threat for a little bit of large hail as this storm moves farther to the northeast. But for now, it's at least looking like not an imminent tornadic threat. You can see it's sort of a storm all on its own, which in this atmosphere certainly has the potential to be a bit on the stronger side. And that's why there is a severe thunderstorm warning for it, but just no imminent sign of a tornado taking place. Although that may have changed slightly based on some information from an emergency management official in Muscatine County. There is a report of, again, preliminary report of a tornado on the ground northwest of Muscatine. Fire department reporting that. So that would be this storm. Still no tornado warning, but the National Weather Service may change their mind. That could include places up toward southern Cedar County if they decide to issue that based on that report.
And it looks like current movement, if that would be the case, it would be to the southeast of the city of Tipton, so I don't think it would affect the city of Tipton at all. It'd be farther down toward the Wilton area, eventually heading toward Dixon and Wheatland as we go into areas of Clinton and Scott County. So again, we'll continue to monitor that, see what the Weather Service is seeing as well, and see if that warning will be changed. And again, that's why that tornado watch is in effect. The threat is certainly still there, although again, we are seeing the threat diminish in many areas. There still are a few areas we have to follow and watch these storms move through, particularly with severe thunderstorm warnings in effect until 8:15 across portions of Dubuque as well as Delaware and Jones County. You see just west of the Monticello area right now, the potential is there for some very strong winds as well as some larger areas of hail. That's a system that has moved up and kind of merged with another cell as it moved into areas, into southern areas of Delaware County. Let's just stop the motion right now and you can see that occurring. The movement continues to be at about 60 miles per hour. So as we have been, let's track the front edge of this and move it across into Dubuque County. Current motion would take it near Monticello about 7:39. New Vienna at 7:41, Cassville at 7:52, Epworth at 7:58, Piasta 8:03, Sherrill at 8:03, Lancaster at 8:12, Mount Ida at 8:13. And as you were following and correctly called, there you go. The tornado warning is in effect for portions of Cedar, Muscatine, and Scott counties, and that's in effect until 8 o'clock. Of particular interest in our viewing area, of course, Cedar County. You do notice that is moving to the southeast of Tipton in Rochester. It does include the city of Bennett and New Liberty as we move from Wilton off toward the north. That in effect until 8 o'clock once again. It does say observed, as we saw that report of a funnel cloud that was down on the ground, a tornado that was on the ground just northwest of the city of Muscatine itself as it moves out of Muscatine County.
Does look like if we take a look at Max 2, we can get some idea of where this storm was. Tornado debris detection, not evident sign of that here. Let me just double check one view, make sure we're not missing something. No, not seeing it there. But if we pull up our velocity view again, we can show you the area that is what we were associating with that tornadic circulation. And of course, that was reported, as Joe mentioned, from emergency managers. That's this area just west of Highway 38. It looks like the best we can do at this point. So I'm guessing this is going to be a short-lived situation, which would be, again, a good outcome. But folks near Moscow and Wilton, if you live near Sweetland Center in Muscatine County, those communities all mentioned were in Muscatine County. If we get into Cedar County, it'd be towards Sunbury and Bennett, New Liberty in far western Scott County. But yes, the rotation here is limited, which is a good sign as we look ahead with that potential. If we pull back a little bit, you can see more strong wind possible, heavy rain and hail also indicated with this storm. That warning does include the threat for the possibility of at least a little bit of small hail as it moves through too. So just because of that report of a tornado, that's why we're concerned about this storm in particular, even though, as noted, it's not incredibly evident on radar. But that's the reason why spotters are important. They make a big difference, and they apparently, for more than one person, had at least that report from the National Weather Service in the Quad Cities.
And we put a storm track on it as well from that area of rotation that Corey is pointing out. So in Cedar County, that would take it near Bennett about 7:52, Bennett Park at 7:54, and heading into New Liberty also about 7:54. That warning in effect again until 8 o'clock. Current movement would move it through very, very quickly in that area. As we've seen with all of our storms today, that movement does continue. Here's a look at pinpoint Doppler radar, a wide view once again, kind of give you an indication of where those storms have moved out, and they have moved out of much of the TV9 viewing area. It looks like now Johnson County, certainly those storms are out. Lynn County, there may be a small area right now seeing some of the cells that continue in just far, far northeastern areas of Lynn County. Main concerns right now, besides the tornado warning down across Cedar County, would be across areas of Delaware and Dubuque County as that storm system moves through right near Hopkinton right now, just off to the northwest of Monticello, heading toward the Dyersville area. That's one spot that could be receiving some gustier winds, some hail as well, in the Holy Cross area. As we put it into motion for you, you can see that those cells kind of coming together from Jones County into areas of Delaware County. They'll be heading into Dubuque County soon, and that area certainly is warned right now as those systems move through. Expect heavy rain, some frequent lightning, some gusty winds as well, up to about the potential with those storms probably about 70 miles an hour. Farther off toward the east, the storm you see moving just near the Galena area, that's where you see the 90-mile-an-hour winds that are a possibility. Again, in the storm system itself that's moving through will head toward the Dyersville area, looking at about a 70-mile-an-hour wind. That could move up toward Holy Cross before it starts to head into southern Clayton and to areas of Grant County farther off toward the east. Another report, Jones County, we did have a large cattle shed and a roof blown off, damage to some of the sides of the building, that in Monmouth, Iowa. So we are receiving more damage reports, some building damage, some tree damage, as we're seeing kind of spotty reports here and there across portions of eastern Iowa as these storms continue to move through.
We can take a look at Max 2 if you'd like. Went up a little bit higher on the radar elevation. So again, remember, radar scans in 3 dimensions, and so it does have the ability to see higher into the storm. And when you're closer to the radar site, which northern Muscatine County is, if we pull back just a little bit, you can see how close it is to the Quad Cities radar, which is just north of Davenport. So we do shoot a little bit higher and still get a good idea of where this area of rotation is, the area near Wilton, and now passing just into southern Cedar County as this goes forward will be the area that we're most concerned about for the potential for a tornado. Already had that one report of a tornado in Muscatine County associated with this storm. So if you live areas near Interstate 80, north of Wilton, Taylor Avenue, northwest of Durant not technically in this tornado warning, but it's going to be passing very close to your area. Sunbury also included in the path of this storm if it maintains that rotation as it goes farther to the northeast. As Joe pointed out, Tipton also not included in this storm for the potential for a tornado. But Cedar County, at least the southeastern corner of it, certainly at risk at this point. Now, the only problem with going higher in the storm on the radar view is that we don't get as frequent of updates, unfortunately. So we will be dealing with what we have and the reports from the ground as it stands, but that tornado warning continues for another 15 minutes until 8 o'clock.
Let's go to Interstate 80, northwest of Wilton. We do have a picture we're going to take a look at. I understand. There you go. Some of the heavier rains we can see right now in that area, some reduced visibility. This would be an area where that tornado or potential rotating storm would move through or has moved through the area. Again, certainly some areas of reduced visibility as we look at that Interstate 80 near the Wilton area. Back to our storm reports, and we do see numerous. As we take a look, you'll notice all the tornadic reports, for the most part, have been off west of Interstate 35. Doesn't mean there's not going to be some tornadoes confirmed in spots of eastern Iowa, but numerous reports of some smaller hail, but also the wind and the wind gusts in eastern Iowa in the past 6 hours have been the main threat that we've seen. We certainly talked about that throughout the day on TV9, giving you that first alert that we certainly did have that occurring. As far as severe thunderstorm warnings, let's go ahead and take a look. One now that stretches across areas of northern Dubuque County, not a surprise as this warning is issued because it now continues to take that cell that's in west of Manchester, east of Manchester right now, just into Dubuque County that has been producing some high winds. Clayton areas of Grant County as well included in that. That'll be in effect until 8:45. This is just north of the city of Dubuque. As we put it into motion for you, you see that storm system pushing through and continuing to move across western areas of Dubuque, eastern areas of Delaware County, heading into a small portion of Clayton County, and then it will eventually move across the Mississippi into areas of Grant County as we head through the next, probably 15 or to 20 minutes or so as that strong movement does continue across the area. That is a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect again for portions of Clayton and Grant County until 8:45. We continue to watch the tornado warning down to the south. That is in portions of Cedar County, and that storm system moving through very, very rapidly as expected. It is in effect until 8 o'clock. It is now northeast of Wilton, heading toward Highway 130. It will pass, as we've been talking about, to the southeast of Tipton, moving into the Bennett area. Please be in your safe place in all those areas if you do happen to come across that area. Are you noticing anything in that area at all as far as additional rotation or anything? It's just kind of certainly is holding its strength.
It is, for sure, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was dropping some hail as it moved too. Max 2 shows you the rotation that we have at this point, and it's just about to cross the Interstate 80 area if it hasn't already. Again, it's moving so fast. You have to project into the future here a little bit with these areas on radar. So yeah, not anything, again, super evident, no new reports from the National Weather Service, at least over the last few minutes, which is probably a good sign. Again, they had eyes on it as it crossed over into Cedar County. But it's just one of those things that it's just kind of on the edge. If it's not producing a tornado, it certainly has the possibility to do so at this point. I'm actually going to put on the hail view as well, just to sort of see what our radar is detecting in terms of hail size with this storm near the Wilton area. As we put on a little box here, 3/4 of an inch to an inch-sized hail potentially. So it's still on the lower end. Quarter-sized hail can do some damage for sure, but it would be on the lower end of that damage. So that's the good sign there, at least, is that it's sort of two threats: that threat for an area of rotation and the threat for some area of hail as the storm passes by. It looks like, at least according to the National Weather Service, the warning continues based on radar indication at this point. So it's perhaps showing at least some minor signs of not being as intense, or at least nobody is seeing a tornado at this point. If we take the velocity view of the lowest scan of the radar, not a lot to see there, at least at this point, which is, again, good news.
We are seeing some damage reports come in here or there. Now Grundy County reporting a corn crib that had some damage on a farm east of Grundy Center. So we're starting to see some of that come in as well. More pictures as well coming with some of that damage. A couple other semis blown over here and there in the roads with the strong winds that push through very quickly. Up in Fayette County, some trees down in Fayette and Randalia, Union, Claremont, and Elgin. Barn was taken down in Fairbank. So again, scattered pockets of damage here and there, but no long-term, long areas of sustained damage, much like we saw in the Greenfield area as those storms continued to push through. Getting some indications of some stronger winds again in those storms as they move off toward the east into areas of Illinois and Wisconsin. You'll notice that that activity is just moving through areas of western Dubuque, southern areas of Clayton County right now. It appears that that will move just off to the northwest of the city of Dubuque itself and continue pushing off through the Holy Cross and Dyersville area, and then eventually move up toward Cassville, Wisconsin as it crosses the Mississippi.
If we want to take a look at Max 2 again, give me a second here to pop up a new view of our city cams. We're going to show that velocity for a split second, but there's a view of Piasta. We've got storms moving into western Dubuque County as well. Very dark, ominous sky, likely some strong winds associated with that. That's been the primary threat over the last little while. You can see the setting sun off to the west as well, but sort of the leading edge of that storm activity moving in with some stronger winds as well. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Other parts of the area have been showing less in the way of strong storm activity, but we'll take a look at Cascade, which is also very close to these storms, which will pop open here in just a second. Similar story, we'll take the current conditions off, but again, still seeing some gusty winds. The rain has let up in the Cascade area over the last little while, but there's some rain just to the northwest of there, up toward Worthington and Dyersville. You can see the camera rocking and rolling just a little bit as those storms move through. But no particularly ominous look to the picture, which is great to see if we keep things at a reasonable pace here over the next little while. No complaints coming from anybody, I believe, as these storms move through. But we'll pop Piasta back up one more time. Just kind of give an idea of that storm as it moves through. You can sort of see the leading edge of the shelf cloud. A pretty intense storm in western Dubuque County, as well as portions of eastern Delaware County, I believe, tracking off into Grant County, where we have those warnings continuing over the next little while. So certainly ominous as we're looking that way.
We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and this does include the rest. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Dubuque County. So right now there are 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, all for Dubuque County,
Yes.
because there are storms moving through the area. Basically, if you're in Dubuque County, and this includes the city of Dubuque, the warning is in effect for the potential for some 80-mile-an-hour winds as that storm continues to move through, and areas particularly near the Dyersville area right now and farther back off toward the southeast into Joe Davis County. Some strong and powerful winds are pushing through. That's in effect until 8:15. So again, for about the next 22 minutes or so, we do have that system moving through, bringing that chance for some strong winds across areas of Dubuque County.
Yeah, that's really sort of the focus at this point. Far northeast Iowa, southwest Wisconsin, northwest Illinois. Piasta City Cam in the lower right illustrates it pretty well. Looking in that direction, we still have that tornado warning for portions of southeastern Cedar County too. But things are starting to progress. They're starting to get out of here.
No, and that's what we expected. It's nearing the 8 o'clock hour, and we said probably by 8 to 9 o'clock was kind of the time frame we thought these storms would have moved through based on the fast movement that was expected and indeed did occur. We'll continue to watch that storm move through the Dyersville, Holy Cross, Cassville area right now, and continue to push up toward the city of Dubuque as well. Are you seeing some strong winds across areas of Dubuque County right now when you're taking a look?
Yeah, potentially. We could pull up that view on Max 2. It's going to replace the Piasta view there in the lower right corner, so we could go full screen potentially with it as it pops up here. There's that edge of the shelf cloud as viewed from Piasta. And we'll pull back here to our full view of the viewing area. Shows where the bright colors representing the winds in the atmosphere based on the radar's sensing. The strongest winds probably actually taking place in Joe Daviess County at this point with that cluster of storms. As we look here in eastern Delaware and western Dubuque County, near the Dyersville area, some indication of some potentially gusty winds. We'll actually just sort of query here and see what we've got. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds in terms of at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Some indication of that moving through over the next little while. So we're certainly seeing the potential as evident of a sign as we've seen in other parts of the viewing area in terms of the strongest wind potential. Yeah, it's not quite there, which is a good thing, again, as we've seen at various times, spreading south of Dyersville toward the Cascade area, though, as where some of the strongest winds are likely to be taking place. So if you live anywhere east of Dyersville, up toward Epworth, Bankston, Holy Cross, up toward Merrill and far northern Dubuque County, Dubuque itself, currently in a bit of a lull, seeing some light rain, but the heaviest storms may actually just miss to your northwest. You may actually sort of sneak between stronger cells in a couple of different places across the central portion of Dubuque County that includes the key city itself.
And indeed, we have the cells still continuing, as you were mentioning, moving through with some stronger winds. The tornado warning still continues for portions of Cedar County, and again, just off to the east of the city of Tipton. That continues until 8 o'clock. Here we go. And that is just beginning to move through Highway 130. It's crossing that area, heading up toward Wheatland, and eventually into areas of Scott and Clinton County, or Jackson County, and moving farther to the north. All of Dubuque County right now continuing to see the, again, numerous warnings popping up. Let's just stick with eastern Iowa. Delaware, Dubuque County, you're seeing that till 8:15, and that's true across the entire area of Dubuque County. That potential is there for some strong winds. As far as the tornado watch, it still does continue. Some areas, though, beginning to be canceled. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have currently as far as the tornado watch in effect. And we do notice areas canceled up toward Winneshiek, Allamakee, as well as Fayette County. So we're watching this be trimmed back. I would expect to see more counties very rapidly trimmed back as well across areas of Lynn and Benton County as well. Johnson County, as that system is moving through. Dubuque County, Delaware County, Clayton County right now, probably one of the areas we're seeing some of the strongest storms, and thus the watch does remain in effect across the area. We'll continue to check and update, of course, as we move through the next several minutes. Now, as we take a look at pinpoint Doppler radar, most of the heaviest activity is just off to the east into areas of Wisconsin. We're going to go ahead and take a look and pinpoint those cells as they move across and out of areas of Jones County, heading through Dubuque County into Grant County in southwest Wisconsin. Strong enough still to produce the potential for some 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. That's why warnings still continue in that area. Isolated cells back toward Traer and Taman, nothing to worry about, no severe weather, just a little bit of rain, very thin line that continues to move through that area.
Areas of stronger winds associated with those storms too. We're still watching this area just for a few more minutes in Cedar County. Tornado warning continues. However, I think as Joe was mentioning, it's a somewhat good indication that the warning that they decided to issue as these storms move into portions of southeastern Jones, northeastern Cedar County was not a tornado warning, instead a severe thunderstorm warning. So I believe that sort of goes with what is at this point not looking like very evident rotation, but that storm's still plenty strong, still certainly has the potential to produce strong winds and perhaps a little bit of hail. See a recent report, was that from very recently. Loudon, now that was from a little while ago. They did get 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts earlier, but just came into the National Weather Service fairly recently. So still getting those reports, and we may end up hearing about more indications of strong winds or even some types of damage over the next couple of hours as reports continue to trickle in.
There will be a media briefing by the State Patrol from Adair County. This would be from the Greenfield storm. They are going to talk about what moved through that area. That'll be at 8:30. We will carry that on TV9 and streaming as well, so you can follow along to see what happened. We've showed you the pictures from Greenfield as well. We have a crew on the way that will be there as well to gather that information for you so you can find out exactly what was happening in the Greenfield area. We're going to stick with you yet for the next couple of minutes yet. Just want to make sure we get everything through the Dubuque County area. Once we are clear, because that's really the last area, and the Cedar County, it looks like you are clear now. That storm has moved out. Get things through the Dubuque County area. I think at that point in time we'll be able to leave our coverage. Just want to make sure that we cover everyone from southern areas of Clayton through Dubuque County as well, with that potential still for some strong areas of wind. Meteorologist Corey Thompson, you're going to take off and get some sleep. You've got to be back early in the morning. I certainly appreciate you being here.
Yes.
Your expertise in tracking the storms was great. Thank you for giving up some of your night to be here, because you would be normally asleep by now. Greatly appreciate that. And we're going to just kind of hand off to Jan. Let Jan jump in front. She's been here too with us throughout the entire time. But Jan can sleep later. You need to sleep
exactly.
now.
The First Alert Storm Team is a real team. We don't just use that as a branding tool.
Absolutely.
So we all work together. Meteorologist Hannah Messier has been contributing greatly this evening as well. So good work, guys. Keep it up as well.
Go get some sleep.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
go.
We'll hold down the fort.
We'll see you tomorrow morning at 4:30
Sounds
on the
good.
TV9 Morning News. Just to reiterate again, we're just going to follow one more cell. We've got it moving through areas of northern Dubuque, southern Clayton County. Once we get clear of that warning, and that cell is out of the area with any strong wind possibility, at that point in time, we will be able to leave coverage, bring you back to regular programming. We do want to once again mention that 8:30 interview with the State Patrol and their public information officer. They'll be addressing the media regarding the damaging storms that affected Adair County. So we will be there. We'll be there live. We'll cover that not only on air but also streaming as well. So you want to stay tuned for that as we do move out and about and watch these storms move through.
So definitely continuing to keep an eye on those storms here. Again, as Joe just mentioned, we'll stay with you here until we get the most threatening parts of those out of the area. But we'll take a little bit of a wider view here at the storm report, just kind of setting things up. There we go. If we want to take a look at Max 2, just kind of showing everything that's happened, even over just the last 6 hours in terms of all of those reports. We've really had the whole gamut of various types of weather from all of the there you go. We can see all of those tornado reports. Again, part of that is that damaging one that we saw go through Greenfield. We've seen a lot of video of that. Any of those kind of little white circles, those are going to be your hail reports. And then any of those little wispy ones there, those are going to be more of your wind reports, as well as the little tree that's down. So again, a lot of different widely varying reports. You can see the lines of each of those storms kind of carrying different types of weather with them. The storms that went through Dubuque here a short time ago, packing a punch with those winds at that 70 to 80 mile per hour range. In fact, meteorologist Hannah Messier is bringing in a couple photos for us right now that I think we're going to be able to see here in a little bit of some of that damage, as well as hail. One thing we didn't really get a lot with this storm system, Joe, was a lot of big hail. Again, that's a good thing. We're happy to be able to report that. I've seen a couple different pea-sized reports, a couple photos of up to quarter or even golf ball size, but that's about it on that. So we're very glad that that didn't happen.
Because when you hear about that 4-inch potential, and that was certainly a potential as everything was coming together, that is some unbelievable damaging hail. So to not have that factor, that is definitely good here in eastern Iowa. And as you mentioned, just some small pockets of hail here and there.
Especially considering that it would have been wind driven at that point, and that would have caused even more damage. And we're happy that that didn't happen. We want to be sure that everybody's prepared if that should be the case. And the ingredients absolutely were there for that, but we are more than thankful that Mother Nature has spared us in this case.
Yep. You have some pictures you want to show, Hannah, yet? And then we're kind of going to give a radar tour and I think kind of wrap our coverage up.
Yes.
Getting things ready
There's a
there.
live picture from our Dubuque City Cam you saw right there. Again, the city of Dubuque itself, the storm is off to the north. It's moving into areas of Grant County, so that's some good news. Again, we'll give you a quick look coming up in just a second.
All right, we have on Max 3 a photo from Southwest Iowa from AJ. He sent in this photo of a funnel cloud. We can see it. I can't tell if this is quite touching the ground, but it does look to be a funnel cloud that was taken a picture of by AJ in Southwest Iowa.
That's meteorologist A.J. Rickman, by the way, from Iowa State. We thank him for sending that in.
Yes, and we also have this photo. This was sent in by our Butler County Emergency Management. We can see that this was taken just as the storms were moving into Butler County, Joe.
Excellent. Again, and we have crews out about, and we'll have a complete wrap-up, of course, coming up on the TV9 News at 10 o'clock, just to give you a quick radar tour, and then we're going to wrap our coverage for now. We will come on if there would happen to be something else, but it looks like the main threats are certainly done. Scattered thunderstorms moving out of Allamakee and Clayton County right now, the strongest of those cells moving into areas of Grant County. Still some brief areas of heavy rain moving out of Delaware County, Dubuque County right now. Some scattered light rain pushing through the area, and then some clearing behind it. Cedar County right now, you are clear of anything that is warned on. The storms have moved off to your east in Jackson as well as Clinton County. And then again, the wide view of radar shows quiet weather conditions across the remainder of eastern Iowa. Take out an isolated cell here or there that has developed. Once again, we do want to remind you that there is still potentially a tornado watch in effect that covers portions of eastern Iowa. I would expect more of this to be dropped very rapidly as we now watch those storms move out and the cold front push across the area. But that's how it stands right now. For meteorologist Hannah Messier, for meteorologist Jan Ryherd, meteorologist Corey Thompson, we thank you. You have many ways that you can, many places as well that you can follow for severe weather coverage, and we certainly value the fact that you put your trust in us to watch severe weather coverage when it moves through eastern Iowa. Again, we'll be back. We're not leaving the weather lab. We're going to continue to track the storms. If something comes up, we'll certainly interrupt programming. But again, thank you. And again, always keep it here on your trusted local news and weather source, KCRG TV9.
Severe weather on KCRG TV9, sponsored by AmeriClean.